take you for your money whatever else bring. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. Take me. Guitar Players Planet. 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 Sunny skies, the smell of palm tree air. Looking back, I could never feel fair. The way that music has touched my soul, the way that the South holds its control. But I've got a new way to choose. I'm gonna start running back to the land of new. Oh, na 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 na. Seems to me that I have lost my old friend. I catch the sunset off the highway again. Then I get lost.
And we're live.
Hey.
Good evening, everybody.
What's
happening? Huzzah!
Well,
We are on. Eric
welcome.
Eric made it. He didn't get shot or killed with his massive gun that he just got.
I have to
We'll
show
talk
you
about that
this-
later.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about it in a bit. Freaking candy.
Yeah. So we got a lot of good stuff. Oh, I had to move it because it was poopy in the screen. We couldn't.
Well, you gotta
So-
you gotta get a wee-wee towel.
Sorry, I got a delivery.
He has to get his drink. He has to get his drink on. He's got to get his
Eric,
booze.
say something, Eric, because I gotta get something.
Okay, so while Dan, goes to get something, I guess for his booze or whatnot, he's got to get what do you need? Is that a bib? So you don't spill any of your drink on you? That's a freaking puppy pee pad. That's a freaking puppy pee pad. Good God. Anyway.
It's not for me.
Sure. Yeah, whatever you say.
Yeah, that's for your old age bladder.
This is how I last 2 hours doing a show.
Oh, okay. All right. That's
My wife's saying
That's
you're drunk.
that's T. Yeah, that's TMI. That is too
Come on, guys.
much info, dude. So anyway,
I bet you we got a lot of laughs on Facebook.
I'm sure. So, dude, it's been cold as I don't know what. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you're in the north or in the south. It's been
Or in Texas.
cold. Yeah, especially Texas. Texas doesn't know. They don't know what to do with themselves, man.
That's no joke, man.
That ain't because I talked to my old man. He lived just outside of Dallas, and good Lord, I've seen the pictures. Good God. But anyway,
man, we're watching it all over here too in New York, and we're shocked at what's going on down there. But
see, this weather. This is another thing. This weather is absolutely nuts, and it kills opportunities to get out there and image. And fortunately, I don't know, by the grace of God, I was able to get something done. I was finally able to get the Christmas cluster done. So, but it's in one-shot color. I saw. But it's in one-shot color. So right now, yesterday, we had a decent night, and I was able to start imaging finally with the mono. So for you guys who don't know, I have gotten a monochrome camera thanks to Tyler. I got the 294 Pro. So it's going to be a great combination. I'm really looking forward to using both the one-shot color and the mono maybe together to do certain things, because I figure if you have that one-shot color, you can do all of your RGB pretty much right there. And then if you want to do some HA, you can, do your HA and then maybe combine them. I got to figure out how to do this. I mean, I was talking to the guys earlier. I know you can do certain things in APP, but it's just getting the logistics down just to understand and get the workflow down in the process. But I think it'll be really interesting. So, but right now, I am working on my next image. And if I share my screen here, let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see my screen or not.
Yep, it's there.
Let me know if you see my screen. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's there.
So I am working on, let's see, let me go down here to the bottom. I'll just pick one. So I'm working on Oxygen right now of NGC 2359. And for you guys who, don't know that off the top of your head, and let's see if this will come out at all. There it is. That's Oxygen of Thor's helmet. So
you're doing Thor's helmet. Nice.
So I'm doing Thor's helmet. Guiding was pretty decent. It was sub arc second, but for some reason, I don't know if I can show it here. I am getting some trailing or elongation in the corners, but in the center, it's totally fine. You can, if I can, the center is fine. The center, I'm getting, they're pretty round. They're round, but on the sides, at least on this one, on the one side here,
it's probably just a little bit of tilt, Eric.
It could be.
Just
it could be. Yeah, and then this one just shot. So
wait till you put the 152 on it.
Yeah, that thing. Good Lord, man. I got it Saturday. And let me stop sharing here. So let me get this.
There we go. The big gun.
God. Oh my Lord.
Das Bazooka.
Dan, while he's off, you might want to turn on your lights because I can't hardly see you. You don't have any of your studio lights on.
I will say, I am impressed. Look, if you can take a look at the size of this beast. I did put a Los Mandy mount on, to make it a little bit easier for me because it came with the Vixen mount. but this is a carbon fiber, and it's actually pretty darn light.
33
I
pounds.
think yeah, so what is it, like 20, 23, 24, something like
It's
pounds,
33.8.
Okay. So it's not too bad. But yeah, with a focal length of 1218.
15.
15? Yeah. So, and it's at f8. So this is going to be, right now it's got the dust cover and everything on it, but it's a monster. But I'm looking forward to the focal length. Let's put this back. So I'm looking forward to the long focal length and the that higher magnification. And it's going to be insane if I pair that with a camera that has a small sensor like my 533. It's going to be, you talk about high magnification.
Well, and that's what I've been doing.
Really close.
Week and a half is shooting flattener only, no reducer, and the 533. So I'm at 1158 focal length, straight up f8, and I've been targeting M101, M81, and M51.
Okay.
Haven't processed any of that data yet because I've been acquiring like each of the three throughout the night. So I'm waiting until I get at least 120 per target. But because, M81's up as soon as I can start, I've been imaging 30 to 45 minute frames on it, and then I switch over and image about 4 hours on M101, and then I have it set to the alarm will go off, or usually my sun's up. So I'll switch it over and get the last 2-3 hours on M51.
Okay.
So I've been getting a little bit each night.
So you've been getting quite a bit of time now, but I guess weather is more cooperative down there in the Southwest.
Well, it finally relented because much like you guys have been dealing with snow and clouds and stuff like that, we'd been clouded over for almost a month.
Okay.
So the last week I had 2 days that I could image. Cleared up a little bit last night, so I did shoot last night. We've got 15 to 16 mile an hour wind gust until probably about 10 or 11 o'clock tonight.
Okay.
By the time we get done with the show, it should be sans clouds, so we should be able to hopefully get a little bit of imaging in tonight if the wind dies down.
Okay. The one thing is that with a refractor this size, and with that, I'm losing it here. But with a refractor that size, that is going to be a definite win. That's going to be a challenge with the wind and guiding. So that is definitely going to be one of the challenges I have to keep an eye on that weather, and it's going to go basically be for calm winds. So yeah, you're on mute, James.
Right there. See
Okay,
it.
sorry. 5 to 6 miles an hour. I've been okay being able to use the 152
So-
70G.
Okay.
One thing I would recommend, Eric, on something that's such a bigger scope is balance. As long as your balance is in a central axis, you will be fine as far as guiding. I know you like to critique the hell out of guiding. You want to get perfection, but if you're under 2 arc seconds with guiding with something that high magnification or focal length, you're fine. I want you to get it in your head. If you're in under 2 arc seconds, you're going to be fine.
I'm leaving.
Okay.
I know you like to chase the lower number. I know you like to chase it. But you got a big,
It's
heavy
like a drug, man. I gotta chase the thing. It's like a drug. But to give you some perspective of the high magnification of something like that, I mean, let me share. Go back here and share again. I mean,
Do it on Thor's Nebula or Thor's helmet since you're doing it.
okay. Well, right now, this is Telescopius, and if anybody, they know me, this is my go-to site, for all of my planning. But this is Telescopius, and this is the Medusa Nebula, which is a planetary nebula, Abell 21. And to give you a perspective, okay, if I would go with my traditional setup of my 294, that's the size of it, right? On my scope, that would be my size. Can you guys see that?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, cool. So, but using this new one, this ED 152, and that 533, that's some pretty decent magnification. That really, really is. And looking at Thor's helmet, that same way. I mean, look at that. That's some serious magnification, and that would be a really awesome shot. And you don't have to worry about
It's gonna be some nice resolution.
Cropping. Yeah, you don't have to worry about any cropping or anything like that with this.
So that'd be a nice one to do in awesome. Mono, and do a little bit of cropping in mono, so you can really get those details to pop.
Okay. But doing something like this, doing something like that, or with the Medusa head, that type of a scope is going to be awesome for objects like planetary nebulae and globular clusters. Like you got your M13 and M15 globular clusters are going to be fantastic on that. Bode's M81 is going to be absolutely huge as far as the magnification you ever get out of using a scope like that with over 1200 millimeter focal length and that small of a sensor on the 533. That's going to be something else to get. You will be able to frame M81 in all of its glory, all by itself, without M82 even around the Cigar Nebula. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, I was doing ISOs of M81, M82. I filled about 50% of the 533 with 101 and 51. I can't show them because they're on the other computer right now, and I'm waiting for Dan to come back online.
Yeah, he got glitched.
Yeah, he had to reboot.
So yeah, that would be absolutely awesome. I mean, yeah, that's just a beast of a scope. And I'm just really looking forward to. The only reason why I don't have it mounted right now is because I've already been in the middle of this. I'm already doing this project.
Yep.
But if you could see my backyard, it's like it's a tundra. It's incredible. It's like a couple feet of snow, and to walk around with that thing, I'd probably end up tripping. Knowing my dumb luck.
So I've been shooting with that since late December.
Mm-hmm.
Started out using the FFFR field flattener focal reducer. It's a 0.7.
Right.
Did probably 7 targets with it.
Okay.
And then I switched over to using my Hotech field flattener. It's a 0.7. Okay. Or just a straight up field flattener. Sorry.
Field flattener. Is that that 2-inch self-centering
SCA?
one?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I've heard of it. And it's not a bad price for that flattener. It's a really good flattener.
Like $160.
$80. Yeah, something like that. So no, that's a really good flattener for that price. Especially if you look at other manufacturers and flatteners and stuff, which can be 3-4 times that amount.
Yeah.
So
well,
that's a good deal.
It's worked really well. I of course, being a nervous guy inherently, I don't like having anything with the compression rings. I prefer to be fully on threaded adapters.
Yeah.
So I did end up getting the precise parts and got it up, and it's behaving and doing quite well. So I've been pretty happy with it. And then I'm still working on trying to get like I said, I want to finish these 3 because Tyler's been really generous and gave me the 140 with the FPL 53 glass that he's trying to very handily convince me to purchase. As much as I really want this 152, it's just not a practical scope for everyday use. And Mark ended up buying the 152, so if I really decide I want to shoot again, I can go, hey, are you using it? Can I borrow it?
I heard he was telling me that he got the 152.
Yeah, so he bought the one that I've been demoing for the last 3 months.
Yeah, because I was asking him, you just got an RC. What do you need this for? You got high magnification already with your RC. It's like, yeah, but I need something that's that's a little that can back off from that a little bit.
Well, so. in all honesty, what part of what played into that too is the conversations that he's had with all of us. The refractor is really an easier, fast setup because of the collimations and stuff you have to do, and the RC is very sensitive. So being able. You want to come say hi?
You must be talking about Mark.
Yep. How could you tell? Say hi.
Hi.
Hey! How are you? What kind of teddy bear is that?
Can you show him your bear? Show him Pinky. Tell him about Pinky. Is Pinky scared? Okay. It's bedtime.
Yeah.
It's bedtime.
It's the middle of the show. You want to say goodnight to everybody?
So I'm still waiting.
Night night and have a good night, Imogene.
Thank you, sweetie. Awesome.
Tyler, say.
Yeah, that's Tyler. That's Arkansas Tyler.
There, take off the hat.
One with the tattoos on its arm.
Yep.
Yeah, he's the one with the tattoos on his arm.
They can hear you too. Because the microphone's right there. You just
Hey, don't let me show my tattoo.
We're not allowed to.
Please keep your shirt on.
Yeah, please
don't.
It's on my shoulder. Would you stop?
Yeah, but you got to take the shirt off to get to it. We're not going there.
No, I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say.
I like to keep the wine in the belly, not out the belly.
You ready for night night?
Night night.
Depends on what type of wine it is. Night night. Have a good night.
Can I kiss you?
This is Pinky from my daddy.
No, that's from.
Not my daddy, Miss Florrie.
Yeah, that was your gift for being a big sister, right?
Does she like being a big sister now?
Oh, she loves being a big sister. She's a helicopter sister. Wherever he's at.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
She's watching.
And there's chocolate inside the heart, real chocolate, and I ate one of them that day.
Yep.
How many are left?
Yeah, really. How many? Do you have any left?
They asked, did you have any left?
Any more chocolate left?
Say there's one left.
I think there's 4 left.
No, there's only 3 in the package. You ate one, Daddy ate one. Oh no, you ate 2.
No, I ate one.
Of course, Daddy ate 2.
I ate one because that was the day when I got Pinky.
Oh right. Okay. Well, we're in the middle of the show. Are you ready to go night night? Okay, tell Ray, have a great night.
Have a great night.
Clear skies.
Have a great night.
Good luck imaging.
Good luck, Imogene.
Stay warm.
Stay warm.
Love you, big girl.
Love you.
And take away the voodoo dolls from Dan.
Leave me and my voodoo dolls alone.
Sorry about that interruption, guys.
No, that's totally fine.
We needed it. I had some internet problems and computer issues.
Oh boy.
All right, so I know y'all are gallivanting about your stuff, which I still have yet to receive any of my stuff because of the wonderful weather. It's Dan's fault. He's sitting there staring at a voodoo doll and cursing me with everything.
And he got a ZWO camera.
He got a ZWO camera. He's going to the dark side. And I hope Mark has a lot of success with the RC. Not really. Sorry, Mark. Sorry.
Mark has had wonderful success with that RC.
Oh yeah. So what's with the WBPP 2.0 in PixInsight? And what are some more basics that we're gonna...
Yeah.
transition.
So over the past actually couple of days, not only did they come out with one release of WBPP 2.0, they came out with 2.02. So they came out with another patch just recently. And if you want, we could go through it a little bit. I actually, if you go on mastersofpixinsight.com, they just did a slight overview of the new version of WBPP, and it was quite illuminating. So it was very, very good. Ron Breacher, Warren Kellner, and Pete Pruill from IP for AP did a really great job last night. And I'm just going to say this, final plug for them, is that if you have gone through the last 4 or 5 or 6 tutorials from them over the past couple of weeks and months, they were more geared towards the beginner in PixInsight, how to calibrate images, how to get rid of noise in your images, how to start bringing out some detail in them. But now they're starting to get into, if you're in the intermediate stage, they're starting to get into a lot more cool scripts and stuff that can help you further add some finesse to your images. Like maybe you have some purple halos around your stars, or maybe you have some artifacts in certain areas of the picture that you don't want. And they go into color masking and a whole bunch of other really, really cool scripts out there that if you're interested in that and you're interested in taking your processing to the next level, get the $35, put it together and get it. It's available. It'll be available on their website probably within the next couple of days or so. Go grab it. It's called Putting It All Together, intermediate imaging techniques. And it's pretty good. I actually picked up a whole bunch of stuff, and I've made my share of mistakes, and I'm sure I will continue to make more of them. But for now, if my computer doesn't crash on me, I'm going to bring up PixInsight. And let's see.
I wonder if they have. I wonder if they're also going to end up putting those videos on IP for AP. Okay,
so probably not, because Masters of PixInsight is a different entity. Okay. It has different copyrights, different things going on. However, I don't know if I know you guys know this, but I don't know if our audience knows this, is that if you purchase the $35 tutorial, it used to be a 3 or 6 month license for that tutorial. They have changed that. It is now a full-time license. You buy it, you got it forever.
Nice.
So, yeah. So, I mean, it's really worth it. There is now, I think, 7. I could be wrong, maybe 6 tutorials right now at the $35 range. But I'm telling you, if you're just starting off with it, it's a great place to start for $35 a week. I mean, it's really.
It is. It really, really is.
Looks like it's technically 7, but it's 9 different sections.
What? Oh, they put 9? No, well, they just put out another one last night, the narrowband one.
Yeah, it's listed on here. Yep.
Yeah, so that didn't come out yet. That's not till March.
That's right. That's March. Got it.
But that's not till March. So if you want to get into narrowband imaging, and if you're in a place like me, unfortunately, Eric and Tyler and Jason do not feel my pain on this because they are in subbortle 8 skies. I unfortunately am in one of the most light polluted areas in the nation, Long Island, and narrowband. You can still do RGB if you do mono, so don't get me wrong. But narrowband is more, I guess, more feasible when you're doing, dealing with this amount of light pollution. So I've been doing a lot of narrowband recently.
And that's what, like with Chuck Ayub, he does pretty much all narrowband because he's right there next to
he's in Chicago.
Detroit International. Yeah, no, he's in Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah,
That's right.
He's right there next, and he's right there in the flight path, right, not too far from the Detroit International Airport.
Yeah.
So and you've seen his images, and his images they're fantastic. And he does different types. I mean, he even does solar. I think he's done some planetary, but I think he's been more solar and doing narrowband.
Well, solar and planetary.
And now he's got a Rasta too. And he's got a Rasta too. Yeah, and then now he's got the Rasta as well. So he can.
I'm going to try and get him on the show too, because that
would be awesome.
He was on the Cosmic Charlie show about 3 years ago. It was just a phone call. It was before he started doing, I guess, visual of himself on YouTube. So it was before that, and he does awesome work. I mean, this guy is just unbelievable. For the amount of time that he's been in imaging, the increases in his ability over the past 3 or 4 years have been really sick. It's been out of control.
Yeah, it has been. It's incredible. And he's probably been in this maybe as long as I've been in it, maybe a little bit, maybe a year longer, because I just got started in it maybe 3 years ago. I want to say. But yeah, his grasp, and I mean, I think he jumped right into Pix Insight. I don't know if he started out doing anything else. He just went right into Pix Insight, and his grasp of that software, and it shows in the images that he's been able to put out, because he's got a couple, at least maybe 2, maybe 3 APODs.
3, 2.
Yeah, I think it's 3. But not only that, then he has a lot of his pick in this. So he's contributed several of his pictures in Astronomy Magazine. So he's got quite a few pictures in Astronomy Magazine. I think I don't know if he's got any in Star and Sky and Telescope, but
I think he's got one.
Okay, but I do know he's got a few in Astronomy Magazine, and it just goes to show his dedication and the patience, I guess, he has to learn this application, Pix Insight, because if you guys recall, I was really intimidated. I still am in certain ways intimidated by PI.
I think we
remember remember when I first got started, I used it for nothing but blink. Just to check my images, because it was a fast way to check my images. So I spent $250 just so I could check my images faster.
You could have probably done it in Windows Media Player, just so you know. You could have probably just by the codec.
Yeah. But I honestly, with the help of the Masters of Pix Insight classes, it has eased my nervousness around this application. And I'm in IT, so I'm around computers and software all the time, and I'm learning all this stuff with business applications. But to do this for my hobby,
completely different.
It's been something.
I'm in the same thing as you are. I do IT, and again, you do it and you're in the food service industry. I'm in the food service industry, and it's a completely different, I guess, a logic step for the software, because it's a completely different aspect of it. And when you go from knowing your job to knowing something that you like to do, I mean, not saying that we don't like our jobs, but it's completely a different type of mindset when you're doing that. And
it is
when you're sitting there and you get mad when you're dealing with Pix Insight. You get mad. You'll be like, all I did was noise reduction. What is this? So and it's different in every single photo, and it's just a matter of knowing the photo, knowing what the consequences of your actions are when you're using certain scripts or processes. It's super important to understand the delicacy of some of the settings, and they're very the smallest 0.1 change in a threshold could totally trash your image, and so it's real important to understand the consequences of your actions, and hopefully with the new edition of WBPP 2.0 that will take some of the stuff away from it. And I actually just watched, and if you haven't seen it, Adam Block also came out with a 7 or 9 part, I guess, a dissertation on WBPP 2.0 already. And it's free. It's free. You go on his website, Adam Block Studios, and he put that 9-part series out for free. And you just put it in your cart and you check out and you have full access to it. It's if you know WBPP, the original version, or even BPP, you'll get to know some of it. You can skip through the parts that you need. But it's really, really interesting. And the way Adam teaches and the rest of the guys at Masters of Pixel Insight, they're just pure professionals. And
Adam Block had a fair amount to do with the actual creation of this 2.0.
Yeah.
So that's why he's doing that training, because he did a fair amount of the code updates and things like that, or worked with him to get it done, which is why he did the initial launch mostly by himself. But it's majority of, if my understanding is correct, majority of the contribution is his for this.
And I also believe on the 20th there is a public Zoom
webcast.
Zoom or Pix TV webcast or something on Zoom, and it's on his website. And maybe if I could share it.
Give
me a second.
Or you got it.
I'm trying
the website because I've got it up.
Yeah, I got it right here. I'll share it.
Okay.
And toggle screen sharing. Share. Okay, so this is Adam Block Studios. And if you go, I believe it's in Pix TV up here. And on the bottom, where is it? Oh, here it is. Episode 3, Stop What You're Doing, the Definitive Guide to WBPP 2.0. And it's with Roberto Sartori, who is actually the programmer for WBPP. It's on February 20th at 1800 Universal. So find out where you are in Universal time. And you could be on that, and I believe it's $15. And if you decide at that point to join Adam Block Studios, that will be applied to any sort of tutorial you want to put it towards. So that is really, really cool. But if you go into, and I'll log into mine real quick. And I own the fundamentals. So, but if you go into, so if you go into WBPP 2.0, here it's an 8-part series, and it goes step by step into, and if you believe it or not, WBPP has actually been updated since the output of this video. So it goes through flat darks, all the changes that is in the main screen, the new control panel, which we'll talk about, and also some of the check boxes, such as use master dark, use master flat, all that have been taken out. So it's really interesting on what they did. They kind of, I guess, condensed it a little bit and added some more features. So it's really, really, really kind of cool. So again, if you want this, you just go to Adam Block Studios, I believe it's .com, and you go to the YouTube and you can pick it up, and you'll get access for it for free. So that's nice.
Yeah, and fundamentals is, when you put fundamentals together, it's a really, really solid way to get into Pix Insight, because he, just like the Masters of Pix Insight guys, they know what they're doing, and they are consummate. I mean, they are professionals, and actually Adam Block, he actually, he's actual professional astronomer in a way,
Yeah, he is.
over in Arizona. So, and he does the actual photography piece is just part of his job, and then he just comes out, oh, cool, I can do this too. Then he sends it off to NASA and they pick an APOD for him. I think the guy can get an APOD. He can get an APOD at least 6 months out of the year if he wanted to.
He actually just posted a picture 3 days ago down on Mount Lemmon, completely snow covered. Trees are covered in snow. He's like, well, hoping I can image today or at least get to the observatory.
Yeah.
Which is unheard of for us out here in the desert. So,
Actually, I don't know if Jason was were you with us yet with the Adam Block interview?
No, I come in just after.
Neither one of you guys. Oh, so it was me and Tim.
It was no. It was me and you
too. Yeah, it was a week or two.
Okay.
It was like a week or so.
Yeah, so if you go back, I guess I want to say it was last winter that we had Adam Block on, and he spoke about his fundamentals and his horizons, and he went over a couple of processing tricks. So feel free to go check out the video on our interview with Adam Block. He was on for almost 2 hours, and he was generous enough to kind of share some of his knowledge with us, and I thought it was really, really cool that he did that. So,
yeah, I totally agree. So
WBPP.
Yes. Are you gonna demo
Let's get this back. Yeah, let's get back on here. And all right. So you can see PixInsight now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes, and you access it the same way. So one of the major things that the difference between 2.02 and 2.0 is when you go into batch processing, you see that little icon right there? They changed that from a gear to an icon. So that's one of the things that they changed in 2.02, if you really want to know. So here is the weighted batch pre-processing script, and it looks very, very familiar to what you have seen in the past with some very, very key differences. The first thing that you may notice right off the bat is the addition of this control panel here. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. You'll also see on this whole middle section is pretty much exactly the same. There's a little differences here and there, but for the most part, it's what you're used to. It's where you get your drizzle files from. It's where you get your subframe weighting so that it can pick the auto reference frame. The registration and the integration targets are also there, and the parameters are all the same. But over here, the global options is the biggest part. This whole right section, actually, for the most part, has changed. Now, I'm still waiting on some answers on what the grouping keywords section is. But when you go over the help tab, you can update a keyword and the frame files will be processed and regrouped accordingly. So if you put a keyword of darks in there, this is my understanding, then it will go by darks, which kind of to me is the same as add darks, but I'm waiting for some clarification on that. We're still not 100% sure on what exactly that does. And even on Masters of PixInsight last night, they really didn't go over it at all. But the global options have been slimmed down quite a bit. The global options used to have, I believe, 8 checkboxes on there. And it was use master dark, use master light, use master flat, or master bias, master flat. Sorry. And there was one other one, and I don't remember off the top of my head. If you guys could help me out with that, I'm not sure. But there was one. Maybe it was enable CFA images, if I remember right.
I'm not a good reference.
Those
on that
are
I
the main ones
yet.
that. Okay, but the CFA images, I believe, was in the global options, if I remember right. For you one-shot color users out there, you had to have that checked in order to get proper calibration of your frames. So, and also the registration reference image has been slimmed down as far as shortened. It's not really a big deal, but they just did it for formatting. It's the same exact type of options. Try to auto detect your reference frame or choose the reference frame you want by double clicking on it. You could do either or still, and your output directory, which remains the same. Okay. it works almost exactly the same. So if I wanted to add bias, I would you could do a couple of things. You could do add files. And if I wanted to add bias, and I would just, again, select all. And there's my biases. When it shows up, I probably selected them all. Give it a second. I apologize. I should have only chosen like 4 or 5. But it works the same exact way. So I'm getting... Okay. So there are your biases. So now if I were to add a master bias, which I do have, and that's under PI processing, master calibration frames. That's big. So here are my master. So if I put master bias, it's going to automatically. So what Pix Insight did was they actually took the FITS header files. If you remember, if you put a master bias file on there, it would still be gray just like the rest of these, but it recognizes the FITS headers now. So that's why they also took that checkbox out of the global options. So it's going to know that the bias that you put in there, or the flat, or the dark, if it says master in the FITS header or the file name, it's going to notice that. So you don't have to sit there and designate a master bias. It's going to know, or a master flat, or a master dark. It's going to know which one it is, which is a really, really, really cool thing. So I'll just get rid of these guys real quick. Clear that. Add bias. So we're going to do add bias, add dark, and you can do it just add files. And I could do add master dark, add master flat for RGB, and then open. Okay, and it will add it in the specific tab. It's not gonna put it all in this dark panel here, this control container. So if I go into my,
for you to have, sorry, Dan, real quick, is it pretty common for you to have master flats? I know you have a CCD. Is that pretty common? Okay.
Yes. And you can do that with CMOS as well. The only time that I have changed my master flats is when I started to recognize something new in the image train, like a dust mode that hasn't been changed, or some vignetting, or something weird that has been going on. Then I still change them all probably every 3 to 4 months. Flats, darks, bias.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I actually got that habit from Ron Breacher, who told me to make the master flats. If you don't take apart your image train, there's no reason why you should have any change whatsoever in your flat.
Gotcha.
So why not make a master?
Sure.
So
no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so but I wouldn't.
So if you take a look at
I break mine apart too much. I break my things down too much. Switching between
if you're breaking things apart and you're introducing other, either dark, you may or may not want to do master flats.
Right.
However, in my situation, I don't like now. I have to take new master flats because I've been taking my image train. Because I did do some minor cleaning to the optics, so I got rid of some of the dust modes. So it's time to make new ones. But as you can tell on the container for flats, it recognized that it was a master flat for blue, green, and red. Automatically recognized. And same thing with the darks. Same thing with the bias. So we're either take some lights and just add some files, and I don't know, I'll just take a project real quick. Let's see if I have anything in my processing. Let's see. Horse head, monkey's head. Okay, monkey's head. Let's see. I don't want to go there. We'll go to this one. Raw data. Esprit. 80, and monkey's head. We'll add time. That is, oh, because that was the first one. So I'll add 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay.
Okay.
And there is some monkey's head. And that's, of course, it's H alpha. So remove those, and then we'll go into my master flats. And there's the H alpha. Okay, so it automatically recognizes all that stuff. Now you got lights, you got flats, you got darks, you got bias, and the one thing that if you notice, if you go into flats for you CFA or OSC users, you'll notice something's missing. Do you guys notice what's missing?
Something at dog's park?
You CWO color users out there, do you know what's missing? Oh wow! I can see a pin. I hear a pin drop. Okay, so the calibrate with flat darks checkbox is now missing.
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a reason for that. So when you do your fits headers, it's going to recognize due to the exposure time, it's going to know that flat dark that you took should be equal to the rest of the stuff that you're imaging.
So now
it's going to know all that.
Actually use flat darks, which it did not before under the 1.0, right?
Very correct. Very correct. So it will use it, and it will recognize that it is a flat dark. So you don't have to worry about that. And then the most confusing thing of all, and even I'm still a little bit confused about it to this day, so I'm getting some clarification as we go, is a control panel. Okay? So this is now the control panel. So when you go under master bias, master dark, master flat, or your light frames, it's going to automatically set some things for you. So here's a couple of things that have been an issue already out there for the past 4 days that it's been out, 5 days. If you okay, it knows I'm a monochrome, so it's okay. But if you don't set this, if you're a one-shot color person to CFA images, you will not get properly calibrated images. You have to make sure that that's checked. Just like you did over in the global options over here when it says enable CFA. Now you got to do it separately for each calibration frame. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now it's giving me a warning. It says light frame exposure is different from the master darks exposure by more than 5 seconds. So I'm going to optimize them. Okay, so I do 10-minute darks, and I do a 10-minute master dark. Okay?
Hey, Dan.
So that being said,
hey, Dan, are you on Wi-Fi?
What do you mean?
Well, you keep dropping out. I'm getting hits. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get Dan back up. I'm losing his connection. Dan, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I'm taking a lot of hits on your feed, so your audio's dropping out quite a bit.
Huh. It might be my stupid headset.
It's not just the audio headset. I'm like literally losing your entire signal on the feed.
That's odd because I am hardwired. It could be my cruddy motherboard that I've been trying to replace for the past 3 months.
It's better right now, so go ahead and continue.
Okay. So so because it's a master flat, it's showing an exposure of 0 seconds. Even though it's I know it's a 10-minute, master dark right here. I know it's a 10-minute master dark. It shows up for whatever reason as an exposure of 0. So it's going to give you an error when I uncheck this. It will give you an error saying, hey, listen, your master dark is more than 5 seconds different. So you can optimize that. And what that does is PixInsight will judge the noise and figure out how much noise you need for the exposure time that you take. So let's say if my exposure here was only 300 seconds, only 5 minutes, but I took a 10-minute master dark, it will take half the noise of my master dark and apply that to my lights. It's smart like that. So it'll figure out, okay, I get this amount of noise in 10 minutes. So by the same token, same temperature, same gain, same offset if you have it, by the same token, if my exposure time is half, my noise is going to be half. Okay, so it knows that. It says optimize dark now. CFA images is no for both, so we're good. And we can still run the diagnostic. It'll say no output directory if I wanted to. I could put an output directory as like we did before. So PixInsight processing, monkey's head, and let's do new folder B, whatever. And we'll use B as a folder. Can run the diagnostic again. And this is okay. This is okay. It's a warning. Frames will be calibrated using a master dark with a different exposure time. I know that because I'm using a master dark. You will probably always get this error. Click OK, run, continue, and you're off to the races. So that is a real basic overview of WBPP 2.0. And just a couple of things, and let me just reconnect here. Just a couple of things here with WBPP. It uses pretty much 3 to 4 different processes as it goes. So it does the image calibration, so it calibrates your flats, calibrates your darks and your bias. It'll use your image integration, okay, which is another process to integrate the stars, but it will also use the star alignment tool, which will align your images together before the integration. So it actually uses 3 processes as we go. Now, as long as we're comparing apples to apples here, if you go under the image integration, the registration, all of the file, the parameters that are there in that middle file, if you set them to the same exact way that you would do in the processes separately, it's still going to give you the same result now. So the WBPP is not going to be a magic bullet or cut corners, as some people have suggested before, where you get a little bit more, you're able to change things a little bit better. You're able to get a little bit better of an image by doing it separately. That's not necessarily true if your parameters are exactly the same in both ways. So that's WBPP, and you are on mute, Mr. Eric.
Instead of doing everything individually like you used to do, like your image calibration, your integration, star alignments, all that, doing WBPP, now since everything is the same, if you did it one way, just one module at a time, now you don't really have to do that anymore, because you were saying, it's going to do it, but the new version of WBPP is doing it basically the same thing.
Yeah, and again, all of the same, I guess, parameters in each individual process have been changed just a little bit in order to make everything exactly the same. So you're going to get the same result if you use the same parameters in both.
Gotcha. Right.
There was a time where if you were able to have more control doing each process separately, where you would do your integration, you would do your calibration, you would do everything separately. Now, with the addition of WBPP getting even better than it was, now that spread has become smaller.
Right. Now, one thing that I'm curious on when I'm doing this is in WBPP, just like with other ones, sometimes it would ask for, you can choose a profile if you're doing cosmetic calibration, if I'm not mistaken.
Cosmetic correction.
Cosmetic correction. Is that when you're getting rid of the hot pixels or addressing the hot pixels? Okay. So it's basically
there is still a cosmetic correction. You can still do. You can make a hot pixel map or a bad row map or a bad column map. You can do all that. That's not a problem. And I remember, I'm going to try and get in there again. Give me 1 second because it just finished. That was my first stack with WBPP. I hope it came out okay. But let's see. Let me go back into WBPP real quick. Yeah, so the cosmetic correction file placement where it says apply and you're going to fast forward, your template icon will be your hotbed or bad column row pixel map.
Right.
And you could still apply that to the subframe weighting and the correction just as before.
Gotcha.
That's not an issue.
Okay.
I'm just getting a text message from Jeff over at Camera Concepts saying we may be closed tomorrow.
Oh, storm reasons?
Yeah, we're supposed to get starting at about 10 o'clock. We got 3 to 5 inches coming in until about noon. I'm sorry, not noon, until about 6 p.m. And then we got another 1 to 3 coming in overnight tomorrow night. So,
oh, wow.
So we will see. Yeah, so I thought we were done. And I just want to see what the picture looked like real quick. And I know I'm not sharing yet, but I just want to see what the picture actually looked like. Monkey's head, B, master, and stretch it. Oh, that's not bad. Oh, I definitely need to change. Obviously, some things have changed in my image train because you can see a lot of. I'll show it to you real quick.
You got a few dust bunnies or artifacts?
No, I got some. I know what it is. I had it originally wrong. There's some hot pixels that I need to change my cosmetic correction. You'll see them. And screen sharing. And all right, so here's the image.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it's, and again, don't worry about the lighting. That'll be taken out with either DBE or ABE. I got some circular vignetting around here, but as you go in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so those are all bad pixels that are streaked because of either dithering, or so. Because if you look at the stars are dead on. This is all hot pixel stuff or cold pixel stuff. And they're all over the place, even in the dark areas. If you move over.
Yep.
And these I've seen just in this image, so it's something new with my image train. But this is something obviously that I got to take care of with, and just so I could show you again under the weighted batch pre-processing. And if you go into lights, there's a cosmetic correction. It's still there.
Okay, cool. Because I've never really used it. I've been using APP quite a bit, and it does a lot of that for you now. So I've never really done it with PixInsight. So this is one of the things and I'm pretty sure it's quite easy because it's basically nothing more than your dark frames, So sure it's not going to be a big deal. I've just never used it before, so that's probably going to be a process of mine that I'll have to add. You know, pull all my darks together and make a bad pixel map. You know, with cosmetic correction. So
yeah, I'd done that with APP, but I haven't done any image calibration or combining in PI yet.
Right. So, you know, it's just one of the things that, you know, I'll learn, and it's that seems like a small thing, you know. It's for me, learning the integration pieces hasn't been that difficult. It's been after everything has been integrated and going through the next modules. After DBE. Everything after probably
which is really early in the post processing workflow. So you know there are a couple of things. I mean, Eric, you know this. You're really good. You're good at processing. You know the more than just the basics. You know, so DBE and ABE. Depending on what you like and how lazy you are or what you find out gets a better result, you're going to use either one of those. Then you could do some linear noise reduction. You could do that kind of stuff first. You could do some chrominance noise reduction eventually. And then after that,
TPG denoise.
That's later on. That's later on. Yeah. So
that's after it's
TGV
been
denoise.
made linear.
Yeah, it's got to be stretched.
But when you're saying chrominance, you're saying your chrominance noise reduction. I was just thinking that TGV denoise.
There is a tab in TGV denoise for chrominance noise reduction.
Okay, cool.
It'll be post-stretch.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So after you pull the histogram over, you're now in a nonlinear state. Then you sit there and you can start doing that chrominance. And you know, if you wanted to before, you could do a synthetic luminance if you wanted to add some extra pop to it. So there's a lot of stuff that you could do, but a lot of people including myself, have a lot of issues dealing with how processes react with each other. That's the biggest issue. And again, I know I said this before, it's knowing the consequences of your actions is really, you really need to understand that. So if you sit there and you do drizzle 5 layers and you move on and you sit there and say, okay, you know, well, why the hell am I getting a nice L in my stars with black pixels going all over the place? You know, little too much noise reduction in the beginning, little too much drizzling. You know, you could have large scale pixel rejection in your drizzling, and that could be giving you an issue, which is a big thing, especially in CFA images. If you don't enable that CFA drizzle, you're going to have some really messed up stuff going on.
Right.
And that's more towards the CMOS users.
Yeah,
correct.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's almost all
CFA
towards the CMOS users. Yeah. You know, I'm trying to get into the mainstream. Help me out, guys. You know, well, I'm trying to make believe like I'm not a CCD user.
Well, so that's the thing. So I haven't done hardly any of the really deep dive stuff. I've done really base level stuff. I'm not gonna lie. Most of the stuff that I've done in PI has been with the easy sequence, the scripts,
the dark archon stuff.
Yeah, they're decent, but because I don't know what it's doing, I don't understand what went wrong. So once it goes bad, I just bail, do a couple basic things that I found in this one YouTube tutorial that I kind of gravitated towards that I think was from Sean, Visible Dark.
Yep.
And then
go ahead.
So it gets me most of the way there. I get decent images, and I call it good enough. I'm unfortunately, with the baby here and other things that I got going on, I haven't taken the time to do the 2-hour training that I've been so graciously paid for me. And
Right.
Yeah.
I've paid for the Adam Block stuff. I just have his stuff is so college course.
Yeah.
I need a Cliff Notes version or somebody
But
to
you
walk
know,
me through
okay.
it.
But you know, here is me still, you know, somewhat of the novice when it comes to Pix Insight. The first 2 classes of Masters of Pix Insight, I followed. That's my workflow. That's basically that's it. And I've thrown in maybe a couple things that I may have picked up from Sean, you know, such as, you know, some star reduction processes, and maybe a couple, you know, and, you know, doing the star mask. But honestly, the first two classes, the workflow that Ron Breacher showed, that's basically been what I've done.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, Eric. In the intermediate one, which they just did last night, they added 5 new icon sets, or not the icon, 1 new icon set with 5 new icons on it. And they're all, well, not all of them, but most of them are based in pixel math. And it's stuff that you may want to think about adding into your workflow a little bit. Especially when, you know, it's really geared toward one-shot color, but it does work in narrowband and mono. But it talks about color blending and how much to blend, especially when you're dealing with HA and OSC and putting them together. So you may want to think about adding those to your workflow, because it's all set up. And all you have to do, if you know anything about pixel math, if you don't know anything about pixel math basically is, for layman's course, it's XL functions. So Microsoft Excel functions, more or less, they're spelled a little differently in some cases. But if you know anything about logic statements, if this, then that, and if it's not that, do something else type of stuff. And it'll tell you, and it's all worked on, what is it called? There's something called symbols, and it's called symbols. So I could put symbol A equals 1, and let's say symbol B equals 1.5. So if I want to add a half more H alpha, I would do HA plus B, or HA times B plus whatever. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
So that would add 1.5 the H alpha to whatever target I'm pointing at.
Gotcha.
And it's really, really, really cool on how they do it, and it's all set up for it. So all you got to do is change the numbers of the symbols to change the strength of what you want to do. So if I don't want 1.5 H alpha and I want 1.2 because I think it's too red, then I go 1.2. I change the symbol to 1.2. I run the pixel math script again, and you go. And you add it to a preview, and you just look at it. So you might want to look at adding that, because it's really, really, really a cool way to do things.
Yeah, and especially now that I've got this 294 mono with the 294 MC, that's something that I think I talked to you guys about before. You know, now if I wanted to, and who knows if it saves time or anything like that, but I could. But my theory in my head is, okay, I'm going to do a one-shot color, and then once it's done, all right, then I'm going to just swap, you know, and put in the mono with a HA filter. Do that once, and then now I'm done with that. So I don't have to go through the cycle of RGB or LRGB, you know, going through each and every one of those. I can just do a simple, you know, one shot color session and one HA session and put them together. That's the goal.
And if you really wanted to get really crazy on that, you could take that RGB and extract the luminance and add that on top of everything else.
Yeah, see?
But you know, I've been playing a lot with a couple of people out there have been sending me data to process, and I appreciate it. I'm going to name some names. Alex, you know who you are. Mark, you know who you are. And Scott. You guys have been sending. I thank you all for sending me some of the color data that I can play with, and it's actually helped me learn quite a bit about the processing workflow of one-shot color. And I'm still annoyed with it. I still don't like it, but it made me understand it a little better and appreciate, I guess, not the ease, but the less time it would take to kind of process a one-shot color image as opposed to either HALRGB or just LRGB or just RGB.
Yes.
So some of the people out there I know that have been doing one-shot color for a while have told me that they actually, and you guys could correct me if I'm wrong, actually extract the color data RGB and process RGB like a mono and then plop it back together as a color, even though you're processing it as.
I've done it. Yeah, I've done it once. I haven't done it.
I guess the question is, did you see a noticeable difference or not?
Not that I can recall, to be honest with you. Now, maybe this is just me, but I really didn't see much of a difference, just in my experience of using it yet.
The one time that I kind of played with it was following one of Sean with Visible Dark's tutorials, where he was actually using it to color calibrate to get the colors matched. So you're dealing with the median, basically median matching.
So he was doing RGB working space, I think, and making them all ones. And
yeah, so what we were doing was you were going into the analytic, you were looking at all the analytics, figuring out which one had the best median, and then you were applying that as a reference to the other two colors to color match, and then you recombine the RGB data and then continue your OSC processing.
Gotcha.
And I've done that to color calibrate as opposed to doing like the photometric color calibration and things like that. Potato. Photometric works for me like 80% of the time.
Yeah, same here.
But the couple of times that I've had to do a manual calibration, if a photometric didn't work, it's been a nice way to go in and split the colors off, recalibrate them all, get them back into a cohesive level, and then recombine and continue through my process.
Okay. I think I might play with that again, because, I did, with my last photo, PCC gave me some trouble. Mm-hmm. So I just did a simple color calibration, just finding the darkest area, getting my dark background, and then just doing it. And it turned out fine. Overall, it turned out pretty well. But I think I'm going to pull up Sean's video again and go through that where I can even the RGB out and then recombine and see what I get. I'd be interested to see it.
Yeah, well, I'm doing a side-by-side with that same data, just kind of see how much more you can make it pop or how much contrast you get different. Especially with the Christmas tree cluster that I'm sure you're referring to. You're probably going to see more of the orangey, yellowish come out as opposed to the pinky red that you typically get with photometric. Because the photometric tends to stay very much in the HA color space. Especially with that target because it's so red.
It is. It is really red.
Yeah, and I shot it with the L Extreme, so it stayed very red for me because I was very heavy in the alpha. So the stuff that I've done with it natively pushed me into that color space. I know that when you're shooting it no moon or you're doing mono, you can get a little bit more of the blue out of that center gaseous region and whatnot. But again, you're really going to have to be narrow banded at that point in order to get that type of color, or do a lot of color separation, really stretching an area multiple times like Dan's done on some of his stuff to really pull out that and enhance it and then recomposite everything back together. So. Okay.
No, but that's a good. But thanks for sharing that, Dan, on on WBPP, the 2.0. I guess it's now 2.02 version. So that's pretty cool.
I think 2.03 is coming out shortly.
I am sure. I mean,
they're fixing stuff so fast right now.
And I just want to say one more thing about PixInsight, if I could share this real quick. They made some changes to the global preferences. Now, I know this is not a place where a lot of people go into. And if I could just share this really quick, because it did come up where it came up where we were talking about Dark Archon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't talking necessarily about what I'm going to be talking about, but all the easy processing suites that he's come out with. In addition to that, he's come out with CUDA, which is a way to use your graphics processor in order to speed up a process called StarNet++, in order to take the stars out of your image and make a starless image primarily. And one of the things, and you'll see it, if you go under Edit, Global Preferences, and it's under, where is it? Come on, there it is. Parallel processing and threads. You'll notice at the bottom, enable CUDA acceleration and initialize CUDA runtime at startup. This is that process. Okay?
Yeah, and I've heard about this, but you have to have an NVIDIA card. You have to have an NVIDIA
You
GPU.
have to have an NVIDIA card. Yes, absolutely. You need to have one. However, if you look at the last two lines on the bottom, it says, note, CUDA acceleration is not yet available. It's coming soon. Stay tuned. So they are starting to implement this graphics processor technology for NVIDIA cards only, as Eric said, into PixInsight.
And it's only specific NVIDIA cards that have the CUDA 7 and higher. 7.0 and higher. Yep. And you got it. There is a list, I believe, on Dark Archon's site of the compatible video cards as well. So if you have one, I would suggest getting it. I believe somebody sat there and said it was 25 times faster as opposed to just running StarNet on its own. So I just wanted to point that out there. That is part of what's coming out. Dark Archon himself made that claim. It was 2 minutes and 43 seconds without.
Yep.
It was 25 seconds with.
Correct. And I believe Warren Kellner just put out something with if you're a member of Masters of PixInsight, that actually showed that actual link of the benefits of doing this. That's not to say that this is still available from Dark Archon's site. If you don't have it, Sean at Visible Dark has a really awesome video on how to put it all together.
Yeah, it's a really
check
good
it out.
step.
Yeah, I mean, if I could do it, anybody could do it. So definitely do it until this comes out, and then sooner or later. And I believe the steps have just been updated for the Dark Archon workflow in order to get it working for 1.8.6.
Yeah, so, he had to add a DLL that you add to the PixInsight library, and then reboot PixInsight. And then every time you update, you have to go replace that DLL until they get this fully vetted into the software.
And it will, I would say, probably by summertime will be it'll be implemented in there.
Yeah, they're working on it. Having worked with NVIDIA on a couple of different projects in my career, I've been talking with my NVIDIA counterparts that I deal with for their large show, and talking to them about some of this, and they're actually working directly with some of the guys with PI in trying to get it more fully integrated into the hardware. For those that don't know, this CUDA core is a much faster processor. GPUs are considerably faster in turning data than CPUs. And right now, they're being very heavily used in the pharmaceutical and medical fields because it can do the sequencing at teraflops faster than what we're able to do with a CPU because of the clock speeds. Which is why the Bitcoin mining and things like that were happening on the GPUs because they were so much faster. But now, for science purposes, we've been using GPUs to do that processing because it's so much more efficient and considerably faster.
Yeah.
And we're going to start seeing...
And it's really awesome.
We're going to start seeing more and more where you're going to see... Because we've kind of reached the apex of what we can do with current silicon for CPUs. They're not really going to get appreciably faster. They're going to get more memory. They're going to get a little bit quicker here or there because they're changing the way things are pathing. But as an overarching statement, we've kind of reached the theoretical limit of what it can do in its current form. So that's where the GPU stuff is really going to come in because it's been reinvented from the ground up and really has opened up a whole new realm. And it will immensely help what we're doing in this endeavor. And as they get that fully integrated into PixInsight, it's really going to make a difference in how fast these systems can process this data that we put up nightly.
That would be awesome, and that's an awesome thing because it takes quite a bit of time to crunch this data.
Well,
it really does. So.
And it's getting harder and harder, especially with the CMOS cameras and stuff that we're using. The high megapixel, those full frame cameras, you're talking a 60 to 80 meg file.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Almost 100 million pixels.
Yeah.
Well, that's 60 to 80 million pixels per image. And you're putting, if you took a narrowband sequence where you've got 450 images, start doing the math, and it's got to analyze all of those pixels to do the math.
Yep.
So it's going to take appreciably longer to be able to do that, and that's where the CUDA cores are really going to shine because it's going to make it equivalent to what we were used to when we were dealing with 8 and 12 meg CCD or CMOS cameras that didn't have near the resolutions that we're dealing with now.
Yeah.
It's gonna, so it's gonna be a huge help. It's gonna be
Sean just came on and said, "My ears are burning."
That's because we were talking about you, Sean. Nothing bad, don't worry. Well, since Sean is on, I think maybe now is the time, since Sean was the first donor to the Southern Sky Challenge, I think it's time to put out some information out there. I was able to, I'm going to share this real quick. Some of my pending images got booted because they had some issues with the telescope that we wanted. And if you give me a second, I will share this real quick. And close this. Okay. So right now, don't worry about this draft here. So right now, what we have set and ready to go is the Tarantula Nebula. Now, the Tarantula Nebula is the first object, and for those of you that don't know what the Southern Sky Challenge is basically if you donate to the Southern Sky Challenge on the website, minimum of $20, maximum of whatever you want to put in, we can get data at a discount from Telescope Live. And they are going to be allowing us to share the data to whoever has donated it in order to process this with full calibration frames. And the winner of the winner of the challenge, the first prize winner, is going to get 1 hour of instruction time with Ron Breacher and a $100 gift certificate to Camera Concepts. The second prize winner will get a $100 certificate to Explore Scientific. And a third place winner, standalone, will get a 1 hour instruction with Ron Breacher at AstroDoc.ca. So Ron was very nice to donate 2 hours of his time to this contest, and thank you to Explore and Camera Concepts as well for their donation. So right now we have 3 nights. The draft is just a draft for me. That was a test, but we have 3 nights of the Tarantula Nebula that are scheduled, and as you could see, this night is going to be March 3rd. Okay, and it is 2 hours and 3 minutes of imaging. It's going to be 1 hour of actual H alpha data. Okay. The next night is going to be another 1 hour of S2, and that's going to be on March 3rd as well.
Okay.
And then the following is going to be your O3, another 1 hour, and that's going to be on. Well, we just passed it, so that should be up already. So we have the O3 already. It should be in my folder, and if not, I'll find out where it is. But we'll have those 3 hours. Now, if you'll notice, we had almost. Actually, I put it. If for those of you and you this week, you'll all be getting, whoever donated will be getting a link and a password for the password protected site for the information for the Sun and Sky Challenge, which includes all the data that you'll be able to download. But if you'll notice, we have only 118, 178, 181 credits spent, which is $181. Okay, I was able to figure out a way to save some money and get. If you'll notice, this is 1 hour of data for $30, $31, because $1 a credit here. The reason being is that the moon, even though it's 90 degrees or 89 degrees away, it's 67% full. So, but being narrowband, it shouldn't cause us an issue, and especially being that far away, it shouldn't be a problem. So we do have, and I'll show you everything, we still have a 219 credit balance with them. So we're going to be getting more data for the Tarantula Nebula. We're probably getting another hour or 2 for each filter.
Okay.
So we should have about 3 hours per filter, about 9 hours worth of data. So
this is going to be exciting. This is going to be exciting to see this stuff.
Yeah. So it's going to be cool. And there are some other opportunities in the works. I'm going to talk about it with the guys. So if you want to learn about it, stay tuned next week. But I want to let the guys know about it before the general public. So, and
there you go.
So once you get the password for the site, please keep the password private. Number one, I'm all for sharing information, but this is information for everybody that has donated that wants to be in the contest. There are prizes involved, so please keep the password private. I'm not saying anybody's gonna throw the password around, but I'm just saying that as a disclaimer. That's the first thing. The second thing is that there is some information on there that I just want the people that donate to see. It also shows the PayPal receipts and our balance to show, again, I'm all about transparency. I don't want anybody to think this is a scam. It's not. So I put the PayPal balance and the Telescope Live balance on there so everybody can see that all the donations, names have been redacted, accounts have been redacted, all that kind of stuff, just so you can see what's going into the account and what's going to Telescope Live, so we can make sure that, so that you can know that we're being honest.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. No, that's totally cool, man. That is totally cool. This is going to be a good opportunity for people to we just keep talking about this. This is going to be awesome to finally get a chance to start seeing some southern targets, actually processing some southern targets and having some fun doing it. And, you know, a chance to also for the lucky people, especially the, you know, I would say the first prize winner and the third prize winner, you guys get a chance to hang out with AstroDoc for an hour. So that's pretty slick. You know, so I think that's pretty cool.
And it doesn't matter about your level of knowledge. Whatever level of knowledge you're at, he's going to show you the tricks that'll get you to that next level.
Yeah.
You know, not necessarily tricks, but processes and ways of thinking of how to make your image better.
Yeah,
you know, I don't want to make it.
He's going to drop some serious knowledge on you.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, this guy is like. That's why him and Warren, they're now PixInsight ambassadors for a reason. You know, they know what they're talking about with this stuff. So it's definitely worth it. And thank you for all the donors that are out there. Explore, Camera Concepts, Ron. Thank you so much. I just want to know, I did speak to, I'm already starting to plan Southern Sky Challenge version 2. Okay. So I'm thinking, and I'm looking at the sky, and I'm thinking Edda Karina.
Yeah. Why not?
So that's what I'm thinking. And then I'm hopefully for the, and it's right now, it's almost at its apex. So in April, it's gonna be right there. So at least for the telescopes that we have access to. I think that's gonna be a cool target. And then in the fall, hopefully we get the dragons, and then that will be number 3. And then number 4, we'll have to think of something. Maybe I butcher this all the time. The Magellanic Clouds, Magellanic, I don't know, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Magellanic? I don't. Yeah. Is that right? Magellanic?
That's what I heard from Simon. But I've been wrong before.
Magellanic. Yeah, but Simon's from New Zealand. I don't think they say L's in New Zealand.
It's I don't know.
I don't know.
I keep thinking of it in my head like Magellan. You know, it's Magellan's
it's Magellan.
cloud.
It is
Magellan.
Magellan.
Yeah, it's Magellan's
isn't it?
cloud. Yeah, it is Magellan. You know.
Yeah.
So it's like
Magellanic.
No,
I don't know. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. There's
Magellan. Yeah, the Magellanic cloud. Yeah.
You know, the M clouds.
The huge cloud.
Yeah. It's going to be very, very big.
It's a big cloud of gas.
That was my stage.
Looks like Mark's working on an M51. We haven't even looked at any of the text and everything. I feel like we've been having such a good time tonight that we haven't even looked at the comments.
Oh, we've had a lot of content today.
We had quite a bit of content going on.
Yeah, Scott was lovely to tell me I'm cutting out really bad. Asked me what the camera was, Scott was talking about, actually Mark and Scott were talking about the 2600 MC Pro and monochrome and color. Massive improvement.
You know,
I learned from Sean. Okay.
The crazy thing, you know, when you're talking about the, you know, the color and the, you know, these one-shot colors, now you're finally getting their monochrome
equivalent
cousins and stuff like that. It's, you know, it's really cool, especially for us who have, like me, who have just been nothing but one-shot color, to get a chance to really, you know, see what everybody's been talking about. Oh yeah, you got to get mono. It's so much more sensitive. It's this, that, or whatever. But still, it's pretty.
Come on, man.
Whatever. But you know what? If you, I, you know, when I was doing my when I was doing this shot of right now of Thor's helmet. I guess because you can actually tell on, you know, because of the resolution. The resolution is basically double. because you don't have those extra pixels, and everything, the RGB,
Bayer Matrix. Bayer Matrix.
Bayer Matrix. So you don't have that
it's like a big cataract.
It's glaucoma for your eyes.
Excuse me. So I'm curious. I'm going to be looking forward to, and I think even Sean had done a video, but I'm looking forward to, learning more about combining, images from basically two cameras. You're doing two cameras. We've talked about, and we had a chat about this when I was earlier, and I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to do that.
There's actually a pretty unique setup in one of the ASI Facebook groups that I'm in. The gentleman had a 3-scope triad. So he's shooting one mono and then matched OSC and mono sidecars. So the center one was a larger, I want to say it was like a 102 or a 127. And then the flanking outsides were GT71 Sharp Stars.
Yeah. Yep.
And then he had the 2600 mono and color on the two outside, all on a single mount. So it all rotates as a triad. He's doing all of this data acquisition. The center one is doing primarily luminance. And then he's doing RGB and HSO between the filter wheels.
Wow.
On the on the mono, and then he's doing I think he said he was doing L Pro and L Enhance on the color.
Okay.
And going to be combining all of that data. He hasn't fully came out with everything on that rig, but there were a bunch of us like, okay, tell us what you're trying to do with this, because that's an awful lot of hardware. So you've either got something you're trying to do scientifically, or you have more money than you have brains. It was a unique setup.
Yeah, that's an interesting setup and a lot. Yeah, that's a lot of.
He had
data.
A lot going on. There were two filter wheels. It was quite the sight to see. And I'm like, okay, what mount do you have this on? Because he just did a close up so you could see the scopes, and then he took a shot of the back end so you could see the filter wheels and the cameras, and you could see which cameras were.
Like you would hope you'd have like a CEM 120 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
He'd have to. Like my 70G could probably handle that payload with a little bit more counterweight. But that's one of the things that came up that I was kind of laughing at. One of the guys in the iOptron group, he didn't show his OTA, but I could only assume it was probably like a 9.25 SCT. So he's probably pushing 40 pounds. He was using the stock 22-pound counterweight, and he's wondering why, with his little off-axis counterweight that he bought off Alibaba, how come it was not balancing. And so I went out in the backyard, threw my cell phone on a stand, and did a little 3-minute video to him and said, well, first off, not seeing your OTA, just going to make an assumption that you're probably running about 40 to 45 pounds of counterweight. So I showed him the 152 sitting there on my 70G, which is the same mount that he had, and said, I've got 43 pounds of counterweight for a roughly 38-pound payload.
Yep.
All in, I have more weight than I have payload. But I also have it sucked up to the top half of my counterweight bar to keep my center of gravity. And showed him I added and started using, I don't know if I need to mention it to you, and I'll mention it to our viewers since we're here. I bought gimbal weights, counterweights for, like the handheld camera gimbals.
Yeah.
So I bought 100-gram and 200-gram counterweights, two of each.
Okay.
Quarter 20 thread. They thread into the side of whatever mount you've got, however you can attach it to your rig. I happen to have quarter 20 on most of my stuff, but I'm using that as my ballast weight. So I was going through showing them how I've got everything balanced. I've got all the weight up there, explain the weights that I have, explain how I have everything, and showed them we were 8-mile-an-hour winds, so there was a little bit of movement in my mount. But in between the wind gusts, I was showing him, here is 43 pounds of counterweight for roughly 36, 38 pounds of payload.
Right.
And I can move it with a finger and stop it with a finger. And once I stop it, it doesn't move unless the wind blows. And I took and showed him how I can throw it side to side, and there's no resistance. The only time it drifts is when it goes to the west, so weight to the west. The cable pulls on a little bit, so it will drift just a touch. But if I slack the cable and get it so it's not tensioning, it doesn't drift. So I've been able to get near perfect balance on this rig, and said, you need more weight. People don't seem to understand that you need to be more ballast with most mounts than what your payload is, not less. And you need it to be closer to the center of gravity, not at the bottom of your bar, because it's going to create vibrations, it's going to create torque, it's going to create all types of headaches. So,
and that's probably I'm probably going to have to quickly order myself another counterweight, because right now I have about 32 pounds of counterweight.
So,
and
we throw names around all the time. So I'll throw this out. Astrophysics, astro-physics.com.
Yeah.
Everybody is sold out of counterweight. Astrophysics turns their own weights, and they're about a 4 to 10 day turnaround. You tell them what your shaft size is. It's a stainless steel counterweight. It's perfectly balanced. They're phenomenal. I ordered mine on a Monday, and I had mine the following Monday.
Nice.
Wow.
I ordered a 9 and a 14 pound. They have a 6, 9, and 14 for my shaft size, which is 1 1/4. Or 1.125 inches. And it's beautiful. I probably could have went with their, because she would customize the weight, so if I wanted a heavier weight, I could get it, because I called and talked to her before I ordered. But they're all made to order. The billet's sitting there, they put it on the lathe, they turn it, made to order, and they churn them out. So you can give mini shaft dimensions, things like that. They have stock ones, they do a lot with the Skywatcher.
And this is Astrophysics.
Astro-physics.com.
I know where they are. They're right down the road.
Yep.
They're in Manchester Park.
But they were extremely good. Their customer service was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I opted to go with the 14 and 9 pound because it gives me then the ability to combo the weights in different variations for the different OTAs that I'm going to have on there, because I am demoing stuff with Explore Scientific, and of course I have my FRA 400 that I'll put on there occasionally. So it's nice being able to adjust that weight and not just be locked at 2244 with the stock weight that came on my 70G. So I can now vary that weight up a little bit, and if I don't really see putting a lighter payload because I still have my CEM40. So if I go anything light like the FRA 400, it'll be over on my CEM40 as opposed to on the 70G.
Yeah, because that's a good call. That's a good call out. So I'll have to get on their website really quick, because, like I said, they're literally. I mean, the president of the Rockford Astronomy Club works for Astrophysics.
Well, and I won't speak for them. I won't make this promise, but it might be worth reaching out to their customer service and see if maybe they could do a will call.
Yeah, that would be really nice if they could. Because, like I said, they're right down the road, so that would be awesome. One thing that I know we haven't talked about in a bit, but I, all of us have our own YouTube channels and stuff like that. And my channel, Astro with Eric, it's got some really cool, feedback and from a lot of the videos. 'Cause I haven't done a lot of videos on it lately, but the ones that I have done have been really, really well received. And people have gotten, have been questioning exposure time and how long to expose and stuff like that. Gains, all these, what gain you need to set. taking a look at your histogram or your ADU if you're, when you're using, say, an ASI or Pro. So one thing I can recommend, and I'll recommend this again, and again, this is just a guideline. Take a look at SharpCap, and take a look at SharpCap Pro's Smart Histogram. And they do a center now. You can do a center analysis with the base version of SharpCap, and it will give you a lot of information about your center right there. But the smart histogram is what's going to start giving you an idea, because it's going to measure your sky brightness, and it's going to also take the data that you've used from that sensor analysis. Because you have to do the sensor analysis first before you even do the smart histogram. But it will give you a really good idea, especially based off of what Dr. Robin Glover, what he's calculated into SharpCap. It's going to give you a really good idea of what your exposure times are going to be. And it's using two types. It's using two measurements of gain. It's either using zero gain, which is your high dynamic range. Usually that's your 0, or it's using unity gain. So it's only going to give you those two options. But it will tell you how long you should expose and how many exposures it recommends that you just need to take for your particular camera and your optics, because the optics will also play a part in this, of course. And it's a really good start. It's a really good starting guideline, because I actually done just what the smart histogram has told me to do, and it worked out pretty well. It didn't give me maybe everything I was looking for, and probably that also had to do with maybe some of my processing or post-processing skills, or I couldn't bring more stuff out, like more contrast or any other data out, like, that I maybe could have now with having a little bit more experience. But it's a really good start. And again, it's maybe $15 US for a year, maybe $15-16 for a year of the Pro. And it'll give you a lot of good information, because it even comes with a bunch of extra stuff. I mean, even the base version, I believe, no, I think Pro as well, you can do polar alignment. I think polar alignment comes with Pro. Okay. And it's got the new, it's got a collimation aid for your SCTs. So that's been really helpful. That was really helpful for me. So there's a lot of other features besides, because you can do live stack in it. You can do a lot of it's great for planetary. You can do planetary, you can do deep sky imaging, all that. So you can use this, for a lot of different a lot of different pieces, for a lot of different things for your astrophotography session. So I would highly recommend taking a look at SharpCap again. I have a video out there on my channel that shows how I did the star analysis, as well as the smart histogram and the information it gave me. So, and I usually do a smart histogram with every camera that I have. So then that way, I can, do a smart histogram really quickly, because it could possibly, certain things could possibly change, especially, like I said, measure your sky brightness or your darkness. So, and that can change depending on, pollution in the air or something like that. So, but all in all, it's a really good piece of software. And for people who are really just kind of curious about how long should I image for, how long, how many sessions, what gain should I use, take a look at it. So.
Yeah, that's a point. That's a great point, Eric. I mean, and for the 15, 16, 17 US dollars, I mean, it's definitely worth it. It's got a lot of cool tools in it that aren't available anywhere in any other piece of software. So, Robin, Glover has done an outstanding job, and it's pretty much a one man. He's got a lot of people that input information to him, but he pretty much does everything with that program on his own.
Everything himself. Yeah.
Yeah. So
You know,
I mean, he's done an outstanding job, and still, keeping that price point at under $20.
yeah. And I ordered. I even said, you know what? I bought 5 years worth. I bought a 5 year license. So
Me too. You figure, do Sequence Generator Pro, it's $159 to start. If you do PixInsight, that's what, $260 or something like that. You do if you do the buyer's license of APP, it's $200, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, just like that. Yeah. So for less than $20 a year to get acquisition software as good as SharpCap, it's pretty much a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Everybody should just go ahead and support Dr. Glover and grab a copy of that, because it's a no-brainer. Even though I use the ASIR Pro, for my acquisitions, like I said, that sensor analysis, and if I'm using if I've used my SCT and I need to check collimation, that collimation aid is really good and really, really helpful. So there's a lot of other tools that my ASIR just doesn't have yet, that I can get out of SharpCap, and that sensor analysis and smart histogram is a huge one, so
it is.
That is awesome. That takes a lot of guesswork out of things.
Yeah, and I use SharpCap for a couple of things. I don't use SharpCap in the way that you do. You probably use it at a lot more of a useful program than I do. I pretty much use it for polar alignment, just to check that out really quick. And if I get a new camera, I use it to focus, because if it's a CMOS camera, it's got the live view. So you just sit there on your computer, you do the live view on it, and you get at least a baseline focus real quick on whatever you want to do, because it's all live. And it's like using a regular camera. It's like using a DSLR. And you just, as long as you hold it steady, you'll be able to see the trees,
Yeah.
So,
and I think you can, speaking of DSLRs, I mean, there are so many cameras that work well with SharpCap. I mean, it's just, I mean, you use CCD, CMOS. I think you might be able to even use DSLR. No, okay, but
no,
at
not
least you can
my
use your CCD. But
there are other.
there's
You're
a
right.
lot of supported cameras that
ATIC, which is a CCD, you could use with SharpCap. Obviously ZWO, it does come with their cameras. QHY CCD, you could use it with their cameras. There's another one. I think FLI, if I remember, is another CCD maker that is also capable with SharpCap. There are a couple of ones out there, but again, for $15, you can't beat it. If it doesn't work, you just lost $15.
it's just $15. So, but so like I've said, that it's really, really good. So I got another, because I was actually had some time out, and some people were complimenting and sending me comments about and questions, about exposure time and stuff like that. So I figured I'd just bring that up, and we can share that really quick. So it's really good.
Yeah, the smart histogram is really, really, really a good way to get you some baseline starting points as far as exposure time, gain, offset, all that kind of stuff, especially, and it's tailored to your sensor and your image train and your sky conditions. So, I mean, it's really, really a powerful thing, and that alone in itself is worth the $15. So
yeah.
So
now, is that an annual or one time?
It's annual.
Annual.
No, $15.
Yeah, it is annual. Yeah, it is annual. Yeah. But like I said, I spent, I spent $50 or maybe close to 60, and it gave me a 5-year license.
Yeah, I think they give you 1 year free, or if you buy a 5.
Yeah, if you buy a 5. Like so it's one of those. So it's one of those that I definitely.
$100 for 5 years. I mean, $20 a year is you pay more than that for Netflix. So I mean, come on. Yeah.
Well, so I mean, I haven't delved into that because I've been so staunch into the ASIR. So like, I've got a focusing window inside of ASIR, so I can see the live view, and I can change my frame rate so I can see how fast or slow I want. Change the gain on the camera to be able to see at a faster frame rate. So I haven't really delved into that because for me, most everything's worked fairly well in ASIR.
Yeah. But like I said, that's our Instagram piece, for people who don't know or are just getting into the ASIR or who just want to really just get that, get a little bit of confidence as far as knowing how long they need to expose and, what gain is going to be the best gain. I mean, it's helpful. It really, really is. So, now that I've got this monster of a scope, I decided on I'm going to go on vacation for the summer. Taking
so you buy a scope on vacation? You buy a scope?
Well, no. So it got me thinking. So, but this is a super high, focal length scope. So I don't know if I'm going to take it with me. But Robin and I were talking about summer vacation, now that I got I just had my my vaccine, so I had my first shot, so I got my little card here. So that was my first, the first round of COVID-19 shots, of coronavirus shots. But we are looking at going on vacation this summer. And we've always done things, a lot of our summer vacations have always been surrounded, by what the kids want to do. We're going fun places where the kids want to go. Last year, was more Robin. She wanted to go to Mackinac Island in Michigan. So we went there and we had a blast. It was fun. But other ones, it was us going to Florida and stuff like that. This year, it's Dad's turn. So nice. Robin's all on board with it, and we are heading down to your neck of the woods, Jason. So we are heading to New Mexico for a week.
I'll be there 2 weeks.
Okay. And we are heading towards, we're going to be near Silver City, New Mexico, and the Gila National Forest. And we're actually, because there is an app that's on my phone, Moon Plus, where I was able to, you're able to foresee the moon phases and everything. So we're going during a new moon phase. We're going in that window. We're going in that moon phase. So it should be a lot of fun. We're trying to, we're going to try to secure an Airbnb. And nice. The one that we've been looking at there, it's on a property that's about 3 acres, and it's nestled up near the Gila National Forest. And I'm thinking with right there, so I'm not really in the city like in Silver City or anything like that. And Silver City itself is only a Bortle 4 sky.
That's awesome.
But I'm going to be I'm going to be outside of the city, and that's actually where I'm going to be. It's either probably a 2 or a 3.
Nice.
So this is going to be nuts. So now the big question is going to be, since I'm taking the family, and we got to pack all of our stuff, and we're taking our dogs. And so, if you guys seen my dogs, and you've seen Titan, in a video or something, he's a monster. So we got to figure out what scope we're going to take, and it's probably not going to be that 152.
Oh, come on. It's big enough. It's got a nice case. You just strap it on top of the RV. You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. You can just You can just tape it to Titan's back.
Yeah, there you go.
You know?
A pack Titan.
But he'll be fine. Yeah, you'll be like, "What's this?" Oh, fine, whatever.
Yeah, it's only 85 pounds with the OTA in it.
Yeah,
He'll be fine.
So one thing is that I'm most likely I am going to pack up the CEM60 and take it with me. I'm not going to take the AVX. I'm going to take the CEM60.
Yeah, don't take the AVX. Come on, man.
It's
You're going to Portal 2, you're
overlap.
going to take an AVX?
Exactly. So
what a waste.
Yeah, I know. So, because people are when I was talking about this, and a couple of people, I think Mark asked me, what scope are you going to take? And so, you're going to take the Rasa? Maybe. I might take the Rasa. I may take a few of them. I may take a few scopes, I may actually grab the 533 and the 294, grab all three of my cameras, but grab my Rokinon and my actual Canon lenses, and maybe do some Milky Way.
That'd be a good time of year to do landscapes or nightscape.
Yeah.
So that'd be good for Milky Way or doing Star Trail.
Yeah. So I'll get I'll order maybe an 18 or a 24 millimeter.
Just rent one.
Yeah.
What?
Just rent a lens.
Lens?
Yeah. Rent the lens.
Oh, I didn't know you could rent lenses. I didn't know you can rent lenses.
Yeah.
BorrowLenses.com. Okay. There's 20, 30 different lens rental companies, but BorrowLenses.com I've used. They're real good, and you can get a higher grade glass than you would typically buy.
Okay.
If you got a friend that has stuff that'll let you borrow it, that's great. But if not, BorrowLenses.com is a really convenient one. They charge you a day, week, month. And there's an insurance deposit and things like that, but you get the deposit back if there's no damage. Very good, and it gives you access to glass that you typically wouldn't keep in your arsenal. A lot of wedding and event photographers use it when they need to get longer reach or a wider field to swap out. So they, most photographers in event and portrait have pretty much 3 lenses that they stick with. And then they'll rent as needed for their longer throws or wider for large group because it just doesn't warrant the expense, especially for fast lenses at that size.
Right.
But, like the Tamron for the Canon, the 15 to 30 or 15 to 24 is a phenomenal lens. If you're going to rent it for a month, then you might as well buy it because it's like $700, $800.
Right.
But if you're only going to use it for a small period of time and you have an address to send it to, rent it for a week and a half.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
There you go.
It's worth it to test different lenses that way too, pre-purchase. So
sure, that makes sense. No,
I've used the Tamron G2.
I guess you can rent almost anything nowadays. So.
Nowadays, yeah.
So.
Well, I gotta tell you this. I know. I'm going for my COVID vaccine, my first one, like you, Eric. I'm going on Sunday. I don't know where you are, Jason, as far as your schedule is concerned with that. If you're gonna go at all,
I am gonna go. The unique thing for me is I honestly feel that in order for me to get back into my career, it's going to be imperative that I have it because my job requires me to travel on an airplane, and I'm in a different city 200 days a year, pre-COVID. So for me, because of the exposures and the way things have been, and I've been out of that germ circuit as we're doing it nowadays for a full calendar year, my body doesn't have the immunities it had because I've been traveling like that for going on 12 years now. So I'm not by any stretch of imagination, superhuman or anything like that. I do get sick, but because I travel so much, I'm exposed to so many things. I'm in a lot of large public spaces. I've tended to not get terribly sick. I do get colds. I get the flu occasionally. But I have to work through it. I don't have the luxury of calling in sick. I don't get sick days. When I go on a job, I'm there for 5 to 10 days, and I'm the guy. If I go into the hospital, they'll call in another guy, and my reputation gets damaged, and it's not my fault unless I actively pursued it.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But with this COVID stuff, I'm going to have the the COVID vaccination, and I'm fine doing it. I've worked enough medical conferences that the mRNA stuff doesn't scare me. Everybody's like, "Oh, we've only been working on this less than a year." This has been going on for over 12 years, guys. It's fine.
Yeah.
The only reason it got fast tracked is we had something sticking around long enough to be able to pour the money at it to get it to deliver. They've been working on this.
And if you looked at some of the history on it, they were working on vaccines for that type of disease. For a lot longer than COVID's been out. Well, they were almost.
This started back with N1H1 and the SARS vaccines and stuff like that.
The bird flu.
The bird flu. This stuff was 12, 14 years ago.
Yeah. So they actually started on a vaccine for the COVID strain.
COVID 2.
Almost 10 years ago.
Yep.
And they were almost done with it.
Yep.
And the funding ran out.
Well, it wasn't that the funding ran out. The virus went below a pandemic spec. So the money got pulled back.
Exactly. It went to other areas.
Yep.
And it went to more urgent areas. And I get that. But the funding went bye-bye.
Yep.
And so it was like an elf on a shelf. Yep. It was just sitting there for a while, halfway done.
Just waiting to get turned back on.
And people are worried about, hey, listen, this vaccine came out so fast, and blah, blah, blah. No, it really didn't. It was halfway done. And that was one of the reasons. And then, believe it or not, China came out with the genetic deconstruction of it and let that information out, which helped the vaccine move further and faster. For wherever they are at now and whatever they did, they still came out with that piece of information that helped. Move it along.
Well, so I didn't really broadcast a whole lot that I was doing it, but I was part of the. There was a whole movement of people that really delved into this right after the pandemic started back in March, April last year, called Fold at Home. So what Fold at Home did is it asked home users that had computers that weren't being heavily utilized to turn them on, download this app, and allow it to use your system resources, CPU, GPU, to crunch genomic sequencing. Some of it was all scientific based. You don't see what you're doing. The computer does it all in the background. Your room gets real hot. Your internet spikes because you're going through a ton of data because you're doing a lot of push-pull. But I'd say 70-ish%, because it'll tell you roughly what you're working on. A lot of my stuff, I asked a preference for COVID-19 sequencing. So about 70% of the data that I pushed through was COVID-based, and it was genomic sequencing using my CPU and GPU to push that data back for scientific deconvolution, basically. So they would take the data that we extrapolated on my machines, it went back, they would pull that data, parse it, and figure out the things that worked better, and it helped speed up the genomic processing that made the attachment markers in the mRNA sequencing much more accurate. And it was actually through the same type of technology, not Fold at Home necessarily, that actually proofed the sequencing and gave them basically they plugged in 132 different variations of the drug. There were 6 that came out. You know the top 4? Moderna, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, and the one over in Europe that I can't remember the name. Those are the top 4. Guess which ones are coming to market? It's the same sequence.
Yeah.
And it was proving the effectiveness because it was looking at how it was going to break down, because that's how we're sequencing it. We're looking at the RNA strands and figuring out how it's getting sliced and reconnected, and how it's doing the blockers to be able to take and separate that. I don't have a science degree, but I've spent 15 years in medical conferences. I've been learning about this stuff for 15 years solid.
That's interesting.
So I have no qualms about getting an mRNA vaccine. Why?
No, me neither.
Because the science proves it works.
So my whole point is, it wasn't like a whole scientific dissertation, but we appreciate the knowledge. But what I'm thinking is, now, Jason, I know it's a little bit further for you than it is for Eric, but all things being equal, and if everything turns out the way I think it is, perhaps Black Forest Star Party will go on in September, which is in Cherry Springs State Park in Pennsylvania. So, all things being well, and I'll be fully vaccinated by then, so I plan on going either way. If it's not open for that, I'm still going to go and set up, as long weather permitting. But because the weather in September isn't as good as the one in June usually, but it's usually the new moon in September, and if you guys are interested in making the trip, I will probably be there. And maybe we could hook up.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, that's a play it by ear thing, and hopefully I'll be.
Of course, it's a play it by ear for everybody. Things happen.
Yep.
But they're Cherry Springs is probably one of the darkest areas in the Northeast. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's probably just as good as your backyard, Jason. But I don't know if you want to travel 2,700 miles to go to your backyard. But
yeah, but the difference is I would be able to shoot to the south, which I can't do for my backyard easily.
Yes. Yep. Well,
I did find a solution to that. It just I now have to move all my stuff to a neighbor's house and rewire everything and put up a point-to-point access so I can control it from my.
Run along Cat 6, you'll be fine.
Yeah, it's a quarter mile away.
It's okay, don't worry about it.
We're going to do a point-to-point microwave and make it work.
You'll get some latency, you'll be all right. Don't worry about it.
Just need to be able to tell it what to do. It does the rest.
Exactly. Wow, 11:14, guys.
That'll be pretty cool, That'll be pretty cool to go to Cherry Springs. So,
yeah, I mean...
But yeah, man, I'm telling you, to have a chance to see some Bortle 2 skies, that's sick. That's freaking sick, man. Yep. And so, and it's going to be fun because even during, the day, I'll take, some pictures of the landscape. I mean, I'll be right there by Gila National Forest, and I think there's a couple small mountain ranges, just in that area as well. So it should be, and they've got these byways that are pretty well known. So, and I think they're also like cliff dwellings over there.
Okay.
So during the day,
we should be able southwest of that.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Get the kids away, maybe a little bit away. Get them away from video games and Wi-Fi and stuff like that for a little while.
Yeah.
Let them get back to doing a little bit, doing some hiking or some nature stuff and just chill out. Robin's like, I'm not much of a hiker, I trip too much, but yeah, sure, we'll go.
Yeah.
So
had we not gotten into a whole COVID thing this last summer, we were going to go up to Montana, Wyoming area, and I wanted to hit 2 or 3 of the national parks up there, and
like Yellowstone,
Yosemite.
Yep.
Spend some time up there, and my wife's uncle lives at the base of the Bighorns, so he's like,
okay,
here's my address. Tell me what Bortle. He's a Bortle 3 at his house. He's
yeah.
Like, come on out. We've got 2 stoplights,
anyway.
and we turn the lights off at night. I'm like, that's so tempting.
I just looked up Cherry Springs to double check the Bortle class, and the neighboring town, which is Coudersport, Pennsylvania, is a Bortle 2. So, in the town is a Bortle 2. So I'm assuming that Cherry Springs is a Bortle 2 or high ones.
I was gonna say I wouldn't be a Bortle 2 here unless we had a power outage.
Hey, I'll tell you. I've told the story before on the show that I got really lucky with the New York power outage back in the early 90s, mid 90s, where the whole grid went down.
Oh, the Eastern Seaboard? No, that was late 90s.
Late 90s?
Yeah.
I was up in Windham, New York, which is upstate New York, with my 8-inch 8-inch Schmidt Cassegrain, my LX200 GPS. Just happened to bring it up there because I wanted to bring it up there. I did not know, obviously, it was going to be a power outage, but I saw some stuff with an 8-inch that I would never, ever, ever see ever again, at least from New York. Well, I mean, we went from a Bortle 8 to a Bortle like 1 in like a flick of a switch, literally. You know.
No, I wasn't into Astro at the time, but I grew up about 10 minutes from Detroit Metro Airport.
Okay.
So it was really weird because we heard planes come over every 20 seconds all day, all night.
Except.
Other than the 4 or 5 hour window between like 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. that they're not allowed to fly in, other than emergency landings. So not hearing planes right after 9/11, and then having that power outage happened in 01 or 02, where the whole Eastern Seaboard wiped out. It was unreal going out with my dad. You know, he had a little, it was a Montgomery Ward scope, but we went out there. We were looking at a few different things with the scope visually, and it was I miss that.
Yeah.
I don't miss not having power TV or internet, but
yeah. Want to be able to?
I mean, I'm looking here.
Yeah. Well, if we wanted to know what it was like, we could just move to the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Right now,
it's 20 degrees below. It's negative 20 Fahrenheit out, and
it's negative 20 and no heat anywhere within like 10 miles.
I've got a friend that's just west of, or just east of Dallas, Fort Worth, and she posted day 2 of the power outage of 2021. The little one is wanting to sacrifice me to take my phone so she can play games. She's got a 3-year-old.
Unbelievable.
The other ones are willing to eat me.
It's like Alive, the movie.
Well,
geez.
We were half joking, but we were very serious with them in the same token. Because their power is out, they had no heat. There was no foreseeable timeline. Like, pack up the RV if you can get the RV out. I've got a side yard. I can figure out how to get power out there for you. We'll keep you warm. Absolutely. I mean, I've got a big house. You can come crash it on the couch. I got plenty of them.
Yeah.
There you go.
They got power on last night, so they finally have heat again. No water yet, but
good.
Power and internet. Yeah.
Heat's big, man. It's cold as hell over there right now.
And I may be using my VMix rig tomorrow to cover for a buddy in Texas that was supposed to be doing a show and might not be able to because they're doing rolling blackouts in his area still. So he's going to make a determination at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning of whether or not I'm working or not to cover him.
Yeah, I'll be making that determination about 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So,
are you getting snow tonight, Dan?
It's supposed to start at like 9 a.m., but because it's going to be going straight on through till Thursday afternoon,
yeah,
Jeff may call it, and because it is a 45-minute drive for me to get there.
Well, because you got to get off the island back to, because he's not on Staten Island, right? Or Long Island.
Neither one of us are on Staten Island. we're both on Long Island.
Long Island.
It's just that I'm in the middle of the island, and he's all the way up on the North Shore.
Gotcha.
So we're both on Long Island. We're both in Nassau County, but he is on a peninsula, pretty much, of Nassau County, and so that tends to get slammed. And because it's on the North Shore, it's closer to Connecticut. Yeah, so he's going to get slammed a little bit more. So even though the snow totals on my part of the island is about 5 to 8 inches, I think he's 8 to 12 right now. So, and we just literally got rid of the snow that just came like 3 weeks ago. It finally is just I'm able to see grass now, and now it's going to be snow again.
Well, my parents in Detroit had a 4-inch snowstorm, a 3-inch snowstorm. They just got 8.5 day before yesterday, and they're supposed to get 4 tonight. They're looking forward to because they're coming out to spend a week with us starting Saturday to meet Little Man and spend some time here in warmer weather, thank God.
Yep.
So they're hoping that they get out and that they'll be able to get back. But luckily, I talked them into reaching out to the airlines and forcing to get to a direct flight because the initial flights they got put on were putting them through Chicago O'Hare or Chicago Midway because it was Southwest, and then here, and then on the way back they were going to go through Denver. And I'm like, those are two cities you do not want to go through in the winter, especially right now.
Yeah. Hey, question for you guys. Camera lenses with ZWO or CMOS cameras.
Yes.
Okay.
What about it?
You know, I've got the Rokinon, and that's a manual focus. Okay, so pretty easy. But since I want to go with, I was looking at your this lens rental place that you mentioned.
Bar lenses.
The Barrow lenses, and a lot of them are electronic focus.
Doesn't matter.
Does it matter? That's what I want to know.
Because most electric focus lenses have a manual capability. You're just not going to have the aperture control. And you can, like with Nikon lenses, and I believe most of the Canons, you can flip a switch and then you can actually open the iris all the way, and then or set the iris to whatever f-stop you need, and then you can manually focus every lens.
Okay.
And it's really easy to tell when you look at it because it'll have two parfocal rings. One will be focus, one will be zoom.
Okay.
It's only the Micro Four Thirds that typically tend to be a drive motor that will require power, which you wouldn't be able to get, but you won't be using an MTF lens. So.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm just kind of getting some ideas here, you know. So.
Look at the Tamron.
Because like this one, it was like this. I'm sorry.
Look at the Tamron G2 15 to 30 for Canon. Seeing as you've got the Canon mount already, they make one for Nikon as well, and I believe Sony.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just pulling this stuff up here. So
The nice thing with the Tamron G2 is there's very little coma all the way through. It's a f2.8 native, and you know f2.8 you're normally going to end up shooting like a 3.4 or a 3.8. And
they don't have that here listed.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got it's like, at least it doesn't say G2. It's like a DI, like DI2.
Well, the G2 is just a generation 2 of the VI.
So I'll have to take a look here. They got a bunch of like the zoom lenses, like 16, 300 zooms and stuff like that. But I don't know if I necessarily need something like a zoom lens. I don't know.
No, you're better off doing a prime with those. If you're looking for a good prime, the 24-18 or 24-14 is a phenomenal lens. Samyang makes one. I know Canon's got one around that range. But you don't need the L and all that stuff. The L is going to be a little less coma. But again, you're going to shoot about 3 stops from whatever their full open is. Because you need to be a full stop, so 3/3. So that way you don't have any vignetting.
Okay. So this is going to be a lot of fun because it's going to be crazy. I'm probably going to have to, every day I'm going to be switching out. One night I'm going to be using a camera, the camera lens and using prime. One night I'm probably going to use the Rasa, and if I still have the 152, I'm probably going to take the 152. And it's going to be nuts.
To be honest, the camera and lenses, I would just take and shoot your landscapes, Milky Way shots, star trails.
Yeah.
Don't try imaging the celestial bodies other than wide field. And stick to your telescopes to do the wide field stuff, especially in a Bortle 2. Your color you're going to get on your nightscapes are going to be phenomenal. And if you get a good night or a little bit of cloud movement, the thin wispy clouds. It makes for a great
Yeah.
time lapse. That's actually where I started in Astro, was doing Nightscape.
Okay.
So as long
So are
as
you
it's not
recommending that? So are you recommending I take
like
my
a DSLR? Yep, do DSLR and get 1 or 2 decent wide field lenses. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where the 15 to 30 is nice because it gives you quite a range, and
Sure.
the entire range is almost coma free. It's a little bit harder to get a batten off mask for that one because it's so big that it doesn't easily mount. But like I saw Scott Coles talked about the 20-1.4 from Sigma, the art lens.
Okay.
Phenomenal, and that's easy to do a thread on.
Okay.
Batten off mask for focus. And just do
This is
landscapes
going
with
to
the
be-
DSLR. And then
Yeah,
focus on
okay.
the telescopes to be able to do any of your celestial deep space stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm just as I say. So I'll bring my tripod then too.
Yep.
And my and my embolometer. And
Yep.
we'll just start snapping. So it's gonna be fun. Just to do this stuff. So I might even have to if. Trust me, most likely I'll probably be doing some video on this, so it'll be kind of fun to share this once it all comes to fruition, So knocking on wood here, hopefully everything happens and we can get this going. But just the thought of having just at the thought of, sorry Celia, I know I knocked, it was just Daddy. Good Lord.
It's a good guard dog.
Yeah, she's a good guard.
That's why I knock on my head.
Yeah. So but just the thought of going to a Bortle 2 sky is just amazing.
Yep.
So I just can't get over that.
I just can't wait to
It'd be
go
a good
back to Cherry
opportunity.
Springs. It's gonna be great.
Cherry Springs, that's not that bad of a drive. That's less than what? It's probably like a 12.
Is it that long?
12-hour, if that.
Well, from
It
Chicago,
may not even
right?
be that long. It may not even be that long.
Well, if you go through Canada, it might be a little bit shorter. Go up through Detroit and through Canada.
Can you go through Canada? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It may. Yeah, I'll have to take a look see. But that may be another trip I can plan. Take a couple of days and head to Cherry Springs. That'll
Besides,
be fun.
Eric, if you need more room to take more scopes, one of the kids is going to have to work to pay for the utilities while you're gone.
Yeah, that's true.
Just saying.
Just say it.
Well, you're outside of Chicago, right?
Yeah, I'm in Belvedere. Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, near Rockford, Illinois. Yeah, I'm near Rockford.
Scott Cole says,
But,
2 hours for me, don't hate.
I ain't mad at you.
To Rockford, Illinois.
To Cherry Springs, PA.
Ooh, well, 10 hours and 50 minutes.
12 hours
from
for
Rockford.
stops.
So about 12 hours. Okay, a little bit less.
You don't stop. Where do you stop?
He's taking the
No, I
wife
didn't
and
say anything
kids. Of
about
course
stop.
he's stopping.
You
You
Every
gotta
2
go
hours
straight
for a potty
through.
break.
You gotta go straight through.
They're probably If it's in September, see if it's in September, they're not going because the kids will be in school
they'll be
and
in
Rob will
school.
say, "Fine, go." It's like,
Well,
fine,
it's about 6 hours for
a
me.
weekend. So
Let's see. Mesa, Arizona to Cherry Springs, 42 hours.
17? How many?
42. It's 36 from Detroit.
42?
It's 36 for me to get to
42.
Detroit.
42, that's
Wow.
kismet. You know what 42 is, right?
It's the answer to
yeah,
everything.
I know, right?
Absolutely.
That's the answer to
That means you
everything,
gotta
man.
go.
You gotta go.
I got my wife to drive to
That's-
Detroit once, and she threatened to never talk to me again if I asked her to do it again.
Jeez.
Just in Detroit.
Well, I took her back to introduce her to my family before I proposed to her. So,
Oh.
but we
I guess you
drove
kind of had to go.
so we could go around, see people. We went from Detroit to Pennsylvania to see her family, and then we drove back, spent a night with my parents, and then drove home. But we got to Oklahoma
That's a
City,
hell of a
and she
trip.
got a double ear infection as we were climbing into Albuquerque.
Oh,
Nice.
good God.
So we spent
Nice.
3 extra days in Albuquerque while she healed up.
Man.
Oh, no.
Well,
All right. right, fellas. It's 11:30, man.
Yep, and I've got baby
I'm
D
gonna,
in 6 hours.
yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna hit the sack, and I got a new lit RPG book I'm listening to, so it's kind of fun. So, but I
what
tell
are you
you,
listening
Dan,
to now?
right now this one's called God's Eye.
Bye.
If you Aileron Kong, because you did D&D, you're into D&D or into RPG.
I am.
So there's, so I don't know if did you know that there's a genre of books called lit RPG.
No, you were mentioning that, and I didn't know what you were talking about. So
Yeah. So now it's a new genre of books, and there's a lot of authors coming out doing it. The one that I mentioned to you was the 2-week curse.
yes.
And it's and it's a series, and that one is a series of books. I just got the second book, so after I'm done with God's Eye, I'll listen to the second book. But basically, imagine you had these former military who becomes security contractors, almost like mercs, and suddenly they get ambushed on a job here in this, like in Africa or something, and but at the same time, while this is happening, there's this worldwide phenomenon of people disappearing after something traumatic happens to them. They disappear after 2 weeks. They just flat disappear, after some sort of traumatic experience. And well, these guys, these former military, these basically they're military special forces guys. They got ambushed. They got hurt, and they end up being afflicted with this 2-week curse that gives them RPG type abilities. So all of a sudden they're able to see, this whole, HUD of, like their hit points, mana, this, that, and the other.
Okay.
It's really, really weird. And then within 2 weeks, they disappear.
Huh.
They just disappear from off the face of the earth. So I'm not going to go, and they end up being transported into, it's really weird, into this RPG style of world. So it's really, really interesting. I've kind of got into it, because it's fantasy and I've liked RPGs and stuff like that. It's D&D. So it's kind of fun. And I'm also former military. So I was like, okay. And these guys are like former like Green Berets or Rangers or something. And, and
right.
They've got this military training, and they end up getting transported into this totally new world with all of this training, and they start kicking ass.
Wow. All right, that might be something interesting.
So it's interesting. And, it's just this whole new genre of literature and books that have been coming out that people have just been combining role-playing games, with fantasy books and doing this type of thing. So it's kind of different. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. And like the book I'm listening to now, God's Eye, it's basically it's almost the same premise where a veteran who knew the military, there was some sort of thing that happened to Earth where they get sucked with all these, the Earth gets sucked into almost like this crazy RPG type of thing where monsters are coming out of the woodworks and killing people and stuff like that. And people are developing, they can, they have mana and they can develop stuff, and they start throwing magic spells at people and all this other crazy crap. And then
magic missile,
magic missile, or something like that. And they have to start allocating their, start leveling up. So they have to start when they level up, and after fighting like monsters, they have to allocate points like to strength, dexterity, agility, constitution or whatever. But anyway, there's this one guy, former veteran, he gets killed, and all of a sudden he gets transported to a different world after he gets a second life, and he's basically a godling, basically a small, like a deity, a god on this new world. And he's a low level, and he's has to, level up, and he has to get followers and this, that, and the other. So it's really, really weird, but it's fun.
That's interesting.
It's fun. So it's an interesting twist on certain things because, like I said, I was big into D&D. I still love playing role-playing games, like Elder Scrolls and stuff like that, and Skyrim. So it's just a little bit of a different twist on stuff like this. But yeah, so that's my sci-fi tangent for right now. Is this these new style of books that I'm listening to?
Yeah, so you got me to buy the Bobiverse.
Yeah.
So I did, and first book, very, very good, very interesting. Thought it was outstanding. Second book, very, very good. Thought it was good. Third book, not so much.
Third book?
Not so much.
Yep. Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, maybe it's me and I'm a little, dense sometimes when it comes to certain things. But when you end a book, basically at the beginnings of civilization, you're just starting to colonize things. And then the next book starts talking about like jobs and economies.
Yeah.
And like I literally thought I missed a book. I thought I missed a book. I thought that so much time has passed. We're talking about people with huts, these pig people living in huts. And now you're talking about this android walking around having a girlfriend in a full-blown city with a job.
Yep.
Where did this come from?
It's a total twist.
So I'm just finishing book 3. I did download book 4. I'm invested. I like to know what happens. Because at the end of book 3, the original Bob just like basically turns his ship to the stars and says, "The hell with everybody," and takes off.
I'm out. Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm done. And there's a little bit of a revolution brewing between the Bobs. There's a little bit of revolution brewing, and there's more like I want to say like a labor union kind of going on. Thor is kind of like running this labor union that he's saying, you know what, we're not the humans' little bitches anymore, and we're not going to be doing that dirty work. So we're not doing it no more, and you know what, we're leaving.
We're leaving.
I'm interested to see where it goes, and I'm hoping that 4 turns the curve a little bit.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I'm still waiting. I'm waiting patiently for Apple TV to bring the Foundation. I'm waiting patiently.
Me too.
So, we'll see how, I'm looking forward to it.
Because if you know Foundation and because you not only need to know Foundation, you need to know the robot novels as well. If you know anything about Asimov and what he did with Foundation and how he linked the robot novels to Foundation, because there's a link there. There's an inherent link there. There is a lot to do. If you look at the names of the characters and know the books, you'll find out that Foundation does not start at Foundation, the book. It doesn't start there. It more starts at Prelude to Foundation, which were the prequels that were put out at the end of the series. So, So,
interesting.
If you remember the book, the original book, Harry Seldon was in a wheelchair, almost dead. He was dying. He was dying again. And he basically said, I am going to create 2 Foundation. One will be here and one will be at Star's End. And then he died. And that was the whole secret of Foundation. Where the hell is Star's End? what's going on?
Yeah.
Where's the second foundation? You don't even hear about
Yeah.
second foundation until book 3.
Okay.
So if you look at the show and look how young Harry Seldon is, the actor,
Mm-hmm.
and you look and if you I guess I kind of cheated a little bit, because when you see the preview on Apple TV and you press pause, you see the actor's name and who they play.
Yeah.
So I found out who one person plays, and it turns out to be somebody in the prequels. And I'm not gonna ruin it because it's a definite spoiler in there if you don't know.
Gotcha.
But it's definitely not Foundation, the first book, without a doubt.
Okay.
And if you haven't read the prequels, read them because they're awesome.
Yeah.
And that's my side.
It should be. Okay, cool. Well, good deal. Well, this was a good show with a lot of good content, you know. So, you know, it was, you know, I hope people, you know, I hope people got some good info out of it, even, you know, beyond our tangents and stuff like that. But
which is what we do.
That's how we that's how we end the show. You know, we start geeking out and talking about, you know, sci-fi.
I think we're gonna have to change the name of the show to AstroWorld Tangent.
That's real tangent.
Because it's all about going to new worlds and looking at new worlds. So hey, you know,
well, we're all in different worlds.
We're all looking. You know, we're looking at new worlds. So why don't we just talk about them a little bit? But anyway, so it's all good.
There you go.
So yeah, Scott. Yeah, I play ESO on and off, but right now I'm actually playing Cyberpunk 2077. So
I'm trying
to get through it.
How is that?
It's fun. I got the PC version. I didn't get the console. I got the PC version, and it's fun. Keanu cracks me up.
I don't have a PC good enough to play games like that anymore. So I'm stuck with. I'm still trying to get a PS5. I'm still trying to get one.
You may as well wait until next Christmas. And I'm talking about Christmas of 2022.
Yeah,
so
I know, you know, but
and by then the
hopefully
PS6
I
will be out.
don't fall off a truck somewhere, you know. So
Yeah.
hopefully, you know, I'm in the land of things that fall off trucks. So
there you go. So no, but yeah, Cyberpunk, it's fun. It's not like it's not necessarily how I expected in certain ways, because I used to also play when I was younger. I used to play Shadowrun.
Yep.
And it can kind of be like that. It's kind of in a roundabout sort of way. It's a little bit of Shadowrunning, you know, and stuff like that, where you know, so that's kind of because you're jacking into computers and, you know, and you're taking on jobs, you're a merc and stuff like that. So that part's fun, but no, it's enjoyable. I kind of like it. I would say it's probably Shadowrun meets Grand Theft Auto. You know, it's kind of like that. You know, because you can actually jack people's cars and stuff like that in this. So
nice.
There's a few pieces. I'm
still in the process of playing Last of Us 2.
Okay.
So I don't know if you played
How
the
do you
Last
like
of Us
it?
1. Did you play Last of Us 1?
I started it, didn't finish it. You know, with me and my ADD, you know, I went off to something else. But I tell you something, though. I will say this: The Last of Us, that intro, man, was probably one of the best opening sequences I have ever seen in a game.
And you know,
you talk about
gets better.
Okay, I mean, just that, man. I was like, that is badass. You know, the whole sequence of like almost like The Walking Dead or something like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, and it's definitely zombie. It's a zombie related game. If you know anything, it's kind of like, and I'm gonna mix two different, not two of almost the same movies or entertainment. It's The Walking Dead meets the Omega Man. So if you know if you know the Omega Man, I might
Mega
be
Man.
dating myself.
Mhm.
That
Yeah,
was a
that's old
Charlton
school.
Heston back in the 70s.
Yep.
And basically, the Charlton Heston was supposedly he's immune to the zombie disease, and his blood will save everybody, and it's like a whole Messiah type trip.
Yeah.
And The Walking Dead. So obviously the zombie motif continues with the same type of thing. But turns out somebody in Last of Us possibly can be the cure to the zombie disease, and that's
Yep.
how the story builds. And
Yeah.
but I gotta tell you, if you remember, and again, I'm dating myself again, when the game Quake came out and Doom.
Oh God,
came
yeah.
out,
Quake and
okay?
Doom. Oh my God.
Okay, so Quake, when it came out with something called the Unreal Graphics Engine, and
Yes. Yep.
it was the
I used to play
first
Unreal Tournament
game-
like all the time.
Yeah, but it was also one of the first games to render kind of 3D graphics titles.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yep.
the graphics, everything was Unreal at that point. Unreal Engine, it was made with Unreal.
Unreal Engine, everything. And they still have, and they still use the Unreal Engine on quite a few. They still use the Unreal Engine on a few games today.
We actually use it in my industry a lot. We use it in my industry a lot for doing VR.
It's awesome. The graphics engine is unbelievable, and the game was just so frightening because it was so real. Things were running behind you and noises and stuff and everything was, but you know what? The way that revolutionized gaming to me was the same way that The Last of Us revised storytelling in gaming.
Gaming, yes.
Because the story in The Last of Us was probably the best storyline that I've seen in a game in a long, I couldn't even tell you. I think Starfleet Academy on PC.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, you are dating yourself. You're dating yourself there.
Yeah. The storyline is outstanding. And then Skyrim, about 7 or 8 years later came out, and that story, all of a sudden they came out with awesome storylines. And if you know Dragon Age Origins and
Inquisition. I've got that game.
Yeah, and those games, the storylines in those, they're also made, I believe, by Bethesda.
Yes.
The same people that did Skyrim, Blizzard Entertainment.
Actually, Dragon Age was EA.
You might be right.
Dragon Age was Electronic Arts, but it still had a decent storyline.
I love the park was awesome.
Yeah. It's but Unreal and playing. I when I first got into PC gaming, I can remember so many times of setting up LAN parties. And us and buddies and friends of ours were playing Quake against one another and doing death matches and there in an Unreal tournament. So
I actually did.
That was back in the day.
A buddy of mine, actually 3 or 4 buddies from high school, made the largest head-to-head Quake Fest in the United States. We took over 2 abandoned warehouses and bought in generators, did the whole infrastructure, power everything, and everybody bought their portable towers. And
yeah, they're portable towers.
Single elimination, so once you died in the game, you were out. Took us 164 hours to get down to the top 2.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
We had like 2,400 players.
Jeez.
Wow. I thought I was bad with my 5-on-5 Age of Empires.
No, I just remember sitting through Quake and Doom. I didn't play the game, but I sat there with my friends that played it because I had a really good color acuity because of the nature of my training in video. So I could sit there and go, whoa, go back. Look, see how there's a different color in the wall? Click on it. And then we find the puzzles and riddles to open up different things. And
it's we're dating ourselves. But that's but but heck, that was like 20 years ago when Quake and Doom, when Quake and Doom came out, 25 years ago.
I would probably go 25.
Yeah, 25.
Yeah, because
when id Software came out with that sucker, man, it's just good lord.
So it's like, because I was still in high school when that came out, so
yeah, and I was in college. I just got out of the military in college. Well, guys, it's been a blast. Again,
Dan. So before we go, I will interrupt.
Yeah.
There's little man, milk drunk and passed out.
Nice.
He's already getting hair like that, man. Goodness gracious.
How's that?
He's had hair like that since he came out of the womb.
Oh gosh. That is awesome though, man. That is awesome.
Great video game published by GT Interactive in 1996. So 25 years ago.
Yep, that was my freshman year in high school.
Yep. And there it is. Quake.
There it is. Quake. Yep.
I remember that thing scared me.
Because Quake, all the way to
13th hour.
3. They had 3 Quakes, didn't they? They had 2 other sequels, I think.
Yeah, there was total 4. Yeah.
Called Quake 4.
Yeah. Okay.
Gameplay, plot, ruins, legacy. I don't know. I think it was 4, but I think it was called Quake something else. It wasn't called Quake 4.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that.
There was 4.
They should bring that. They should bring back that. They should bring that back, man. Doing some
they made Doom into a movie with The Rock. I mean, they may as well make Quake.
Yeah, I'm not interested in the movie. Just bring back the games. Just redo the games.
Yeah,
everybody do death matches again. That'll be fun.
Oh, I love it. Blood and guts and arms flying.
Yeah, blood and guts and doing team death matches and all that other stuff.
We have that now. It's called Call of Duty.
Yeah, I know, but I know, but I tell you, Quake though, man. Quake was something. Well, all right, guys. Cool. Well, Dan, you want to lead us out, man?
Sure. I'm ready to go to bed. It's midnight almost. It's almost now Thursday.
At least for 3 hours tonight.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I remember starting this back in June. I was like, oh, yeah, we're going to try and get this under like an hour and a half.
We've done that once. Well, I take that back. We did do it once. We did do it once. We did a 1 hour show.
It was 2 hours, and then it was
no. You know why we did it once, Jason? It was because you were in that hotel, and we had to. You were in that hotel.
You're welcome.
That's the only time we were under. We were under an hour.
That's funny.
So.
All right, guys. Well, good night, everybody. Have a good night. Thank you for those of you that joined us tonight. I know it was a long show. I hope you got something out of it with the WBPP and Eric's little rig and Jason's little guy. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night. Be safe. For any of you, our fellow watchers that are in Texas, stay warm, stay safe, and remember, as always, to keep imaging, keep educating, keep having fun, and we'll see you next week on AstroWorld. Have a good night.